Who's going to be live here? Jan, you, me, Terry, and Pat? Yeah, that's fine. Everybody else is?
Mike Turk is on.
Can they hear us?
They're all unmuted. They should all be able to hear you. If you ask for a quick call.
So when I say it's me or Odekirk, how are they going to know
Okay,
who I'm
so
talking
Sherry,
That's what we're.
How many people?
Don, are you on?
I have Ben Gavin on the line.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm on here, Krista.
Okay. Mike? Okay.
How did Don get home so quick? When I got out of the car and walked in, he was heckling me.
I'm on the line.
When I got out of the car, he walked in,
Okay, thank you.
he was heckling me. Well, how many speakers? 309?
290 something.
Oh, okay. Do you know which town they're each from?
No.
They don't say in the emails or anything? Are you thinking, Jan, I guess, she's over there. Do you think that
We're
2025
running a few minutes late. We'll be ready in a minute.
25 minute meeting?
All right. I think we're ready, Krista.
Let's get the show on the road.
Go. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the the special council meeting for the city of Joliet for April the 13th. Mayor Bob Odekirk presiding. Start with roll call.
Mayor Odekirk?
Here.
Councilman Dickinson?
Here.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Here.
Councilman Hug?
Here.
Councilman Morris?
Here.
Councilman Mudrin?
Here.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Here.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Here.
Councilman Turk?
Here.
Let the record show that Councilman Dickinson, Councilwoman Gavin, Councilwoman Reardon, and Councilman Turk are attending remotely. Okay. On the agenda this evening is a public hearing. It is and of course this doesn't. Council Memo 222-20, pre-annexation agreement for 1,260 acres with Eastgate Logistics Park, Chicago LLC for Compass Business Park. This was continued from a previous meeting, so this is a public hearing, so comments would be in order at this time.
Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll do a quick introduction. As our city clerk had indicated, this is a 1,260 acre proposal. Now, one thing to clarify is that the request before you is for an annexation agreement. If the city council took positive action on this, this doesn't annex or rezone the property. It sets the stage for that under certain terms and conditions, which of course are identified within the agreement itself. This is Eastgate Logistics Park, not to be confused with something else, but it is the North Point project. Both of those names have been thrown out there, so I will throw it out there for clarification. This proposal represents approximately 1,260 acres of development. If constructed according to the developer's proposal, it would equate to about $16 million of total developable land. A variety of size buildings have been identified on a draft site plan, which is in the packet. And actually, that's been on our website since, I believe, March 13th. So this has been out in the public arena for a while. Just some of the details, and we are going to turn this over to North Point, who's going to video in a presentation. This is a development that is being designed in a closed-loop fashion, where all of the truck traffic, inbound and outbound, will be going through the intermodal we call center point. Employees and visitors and other folks would be able to access the park at a variety of other locations, but The transportation is basically being put together to really minimize the impacts upon Route 53, also known as Chicago Street. According to the agreement that we've put together, there are no local incentives that are being offered as part of this development. There's no TIF, there's no tax abatements, there are no fee waivers. There are some development contributions that have been baked into this agreement as part of our negotiations. Upon the annexation of the property, the developer is required to provide $2 million to the city, which can be utilized for a variety of examples that have been called public benefit, community enhancement purposes. As development occurs on this particular development, the developer is required to provide 33 cents per square foot for the buildings that would be constructed. The maximum cash contribution of this development would be $6,620,000. In addition to the cash contributions, there are some other advantages. There is a 15-acre parcel that is part of the proposal that would be utilized by our police and fire departments for a potential future training facility. We also have up to 20 acres of property that would be used for any sort of water utility construction, whether it's water towers, whether it's a new treatment plant, et cetera, but that land would be dedicated by North Point. In addition, North Point would construct what they're calling a learning and career center, and this would be something that would be in collaboration with Joliet Junior College, and it would be utilized for basically job training, career advancement, et cetera. As part of the development, North Point's marketing is intended to really try to get at least 20% of the occupancy of this park to be manufacturing or other uses, manufacturing, office. If they were to bring in a building that had manufacturing, office, or some sort of sales tax generator, that 33 cents per square foot I talked about would not apply. So it's a way to achieve some other goals in the city in addition to cash contributions. As with their Kansas City Park, this particular park design would include trails, open space corridors, employee amenities, landscaping, and other design elements that basically try to create something that really doesn't feel like your typical industrial park. And obviously the code standards that we have developed over the years with Centerpoint and other industrial, those are some of the same codes that would apply here. I know most council folks have been down to Kansas City. They've gotten to see the design standards that they've utilized, and we've seen, basically how their park fits together. That's probably all I want to say, or I'm going to steal too much of North Point's thunder. So if I could, Mayor, we could link them in via video, and they could give you some of the details of the project.
That's fine. Before they do, if I can make a comment, and if anyone on council wants to weigh in, there's been a lot of feedback the last week about us having this meeting today, and I received a number of emails, people urging us to cancel the meeting and asserting all sorts of different things. So I've tried to respond to all the emails. I haven't been able to because Marty keeps sending me more. But just a quick timeline. This was set originally to go to the public hearing on March 17th, and the COVID crisis was beginning to unfold at the time. So I reached out to the governor's office, or spoke with the governor's office about what our plan was, which was to have a limit of 50 people inside the meeting, but to allow the public to come forward and make their comment, then leave the council chambers afterwards. And as I said in emails to respond to people, that was met with as much outrage as the current plan. We were accused of risking people's lives, and I had people telling me that they have to choose between addressing the city council and death. So again, the council as a whole agreed to hold off on March 17th. It came up a second time. We've tabled this matter a second time. So now it's the third time that was up. The council voted to move forward 7-1. I didn't vote, but I would have voted to move forward also. And if I had any idea, I think if any of us, and I'm speaking for the group, so feel free to chime in. If we had any idea what the end date of this was going to be, that on June 1st, things were going to slide back to normal, and that we would be able to have a meeting with 300, 400, 500 people in attendance, a public meeting in Illinois, I would urge staff to talk to North Point and say, we're going to wait. But the reality is we have no idea, and I think any thinking person would have to admit that that's not gonna happen by June 1st. It may not happen for the rest of the year. I think the way we're doing public meetings, as you can see, since we've made our announcements, I've seen other elected bodies like Will County Board that are doing the same thing. We're all making these adjustments. So some people have ascertained that this is a cowardly way we're moving forward and we're afraid to face the public. It's not true. And to be frank and to be selfish about it, a public hearing, a traditional public hearing, would be light years easier than what we're doing right now. We have 298 people that have signed up to talk. I don't know what the numbers were in Elwood. I doubt it was that many, but someone could check or let me know if I'm right or not. So we've created a system that we think is fair, and again, under the circumstances, under the governor's directives, and under the attorney general's directives, we're trying to comply with it. So I just, it's my take on it. And again, if anyone else wants to say anything, if not, then we can get moving on with the meeting. Okay.
Mayor,
Yes.
can you remind everyone about the ways that you can log in and watch this meeting?
Yes, all right, that was a question that's come up. Obviously, it's available on Channel 6, which is local TV in Joliet. I don't know if Elwood or Manhattan has access to our local cable, probably not. It's JCTV on Facebook, JCTV 6 on YouTube, JCTV 6 on local TV. And then it's also available, it's live streaming on our website, which is joliet.gov. So, there's 4 ways to see the meeting live, and of course 3 if you don't live in Joliet. And one of the council people, you have to mute what's going on around you because it's coming through. Is that me? Is that a feedback? Okay.
Just to add, Mayor.
Yes.
I have my husband's watching at home, and if the audio is bad, he's going to call me for Channel 6 because I did get some complaints after last week's meeting that the audio wasn't that clear for people listening at home.
What I heard, and I don't know which format it was, one of the formats, there was a problem with the audio. I don't know which one.
So I don't know either, but we have someone listening at home.
Okay, good, thank you. All right, so we're gonna start with North Point then? They're gonna make their presentation?
Where are we?
He disconnected, he's going to get a hold of
You
Okay.
connect.
Okay,
There we go.
thank you. Good evening, go ahead, make your comment, or your presentation, please.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. We really appreciate you taking the initiative to do this, or the initiative to set it up in this way. We think it'll be very productive. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Great. Okay. I'm going to share my screen at this point, and we'll start the presentation. Okay. And can you all see the presentation up on your screen now?
No, we just see you.
No, it's not at home now. No, it's 6.
Well, we see what you have.
Still me?
Yes.
Okay, hang on one second. We'll go back to the screen share.
Usually 6 is the same as that.
Yeah, well, either one. We're not getting this picture.
No, but I'm talking about are people at home getting this?
Yeah, look behind it.
Okay,
Well, we'll find out in a minute.
that's what I want to know.
That's,
Still me?
yes.
Okay. I might need Chris's help then.
All right, we'll take a moment.
As the mayor was saying, it would probably be easier for us to conduct it in the old fashion.
On the team meeting window, there is a icon with an up arrow and a box around it. That's your share screen.
Right.
And you click on that.
Yeah, I clicked on that and I did, yeah. Let me,
There you go. Now open up your presentation. There you go. Now open up your PowerPoint slide. There we go. Now
You see it?
Yes.
And then just, yeah, we can see it now. And also if we could confirm that this is being broadcast, what we see, the public can see. All right, thank you, Dave.
I'm working on it.
you can tell me when you're ready.
Just give us 1 second, please. Okay, go ahead.
No hurry.
He said yes.
Okay.
There we go.
Well, again, thank you very much. We greatly appreciate the hard work that everybody's put in to do this meeting and all the hard work that everybody's put in for the last several months to refine the project and seek input from the public and create what we think is going to be a tremendous development. So thank you. Your staff has been fantastic. And we appreciate the council and all the effort that you have put into travel all the way to Kansas to view one of our similar projects. So thank you all very much. And thank you for what you're doing every day. We know right now it's very tough. So I will be respectful of your time. I will crank through this. We'll take questions, and then our CEO would like to make a comment at the end, if that's okay. So without further ado, we will start here. North Point invests in communities. This is what the markets we're in currently around the country today. 23 states, 40 projects, and this is probably already dated, even though it's just 2 months old, and about 1.3 billion of development underway today. So we are a national company coast to coast. North Point's commitment in Illinois. We have 2 developments in Illinois currently. The first is in Chicago on the southeast side in the 10th Ward. And it started with the purchase of 1.6 million square feet of manufacturing contained in 4 buildings. And then an additional 197 acres where we can develop 2.3 million square feet of buildings. We currently are nearing completion of the first building, 360,000 feet. That building is leased, and the tenant will be moving in with an assembly process in about 1 month. Our second commitment in Illinois is Pontoon Beach. Pontoon Beach is east of St. Louis. It will be approximately a 7 million square foot park, and we are underway with the first building in that park, 540,000 square feet, and that building has just been leased during construction to Amazon. So why Joliet? Why now? Because we feel, and I think everybody feels, that a master plan solution is needed. The slide you see on the screen right now is from the Will County Community Friendly Freight Mobility Study. And this ranks all the ports in the U.S. And you can see that Chicago, the metro area, ranks as the largest port in the United States, which is stunning. But it's a fact, and it outranks the LA port by about 1 million containers per year. So quite stunning when you see this, and again, we took this from the Will County study. So some type of a master plan solution is definitely needed. And Will County is at the center. Will County is the end of the Southern Transcon, in addition to being the intersection of all 7 Class 1 railroads. Will County in particular is the terminus, the eastern terminus of the Southern Transcon. Southern Transcon is rail's superhighway. The Southern Transcon spans from the second biggest port in the United States, Los Angeles, Long Beach, directly to Will County. And this track is double track, double stack, so they can go 2 containers high, 2 trains at a time, and with speeds up to 70 miles an hour. And this connects directly from, as I said, LA to Will County. It terminates initially in Elwood. So when the park in Elwood was commenced in 2001, the BN set about improving this Southern Transcon, which is a 100-year-old railroad, to be able to handle the 2 trains and double stack containers. They spent about $20 billion to do that. And that high-speed connection is the reason that Chicago is the largest port in the country. So as I said, the initial termination, it was in Elwood, and that same track also serves the Union Pacific and Joliet. So that speed of service was so important that the UP leases track space from the BN to run on their track. And they also, this year, or in 2019, they closed their brand new intermodal in Rochelle and redirected all international containers to Joliet. So Elwood and Joliet are the ports of choice without question. And the speed of service is why, and the speed of service is, of course, as we know, just growing in importance now. So one thing we're really proud of is that community feedback really built this plan. We have had just countless meetings. We have met with fire departments, police departments, farmers, farm organizations, schools, districts. Every type of group we have had meetings with over the last 3 years. We started out the process with an active partnership with the local trade unions to make sure we have quality construction and we provide quality jobs. We worked with IDOT for what is, I think, undoubtedly the most thoroughly vetted traffic generation study to date. It took about 18 months, and it involved the study of about 6 different parks, 3 by IDOT and 3 by us. And then in addition to that, traffic counts taken over 3 different times. So just a tremendous, tremendous amount of data. We also have incorporated the results of the Will County Community Friendly Freight Mobility Study, which did provide it caused some design changes, and so that was very much appreciated. There's been unprecedented public input, and I know that there is often a complaint about things have been rushed, but this park has evolved well over 3 years, going on 4 years now. We've had 8 large neighborhood meetings, over 20 hours of testimony, and 7 additional public meetings. And we've listened, and you'll see that a lot of our design reflects what's happened in these meetings. You all took a fact-finding missions to Kansas City along with press folks, engineers, some of your staff. So we think that's just really fantastic. And we want to make sure everybody understands we will continue to listen and to partner with the community. This is not one and done. So what makes Compass Business Park Joliet unique? It started with one goal, which was to take trucks off of Route 53 and local roads. This park was born on the heels of the Walter Strawn battle to close Walter Strawn. And so the sensitivity to the cemetery and to Route 53 was where this project really started. But along the way, it will create up to 1,600 construction jobs, all unique jobs, over 4,500 permanent jobs, and this is the Compass Business Park Joliet portion of the park. Generate around 18 million, actually slightly over 18 million in annual property taxes. Create a quality environment for the employees and for nature, which is our goal. And probably most importantly, set a new standard for industrial park operations and community involvement. We really want to have an ongoing community involvement in this park to make sure that we are living up to our promises and then some. So Compass Business Park, how will it keep trucks off of 53? The concept that Steve made reference to is the closed loop truck network. It is really the backbone of our plan and our park. It'll start with a bridge over Route 53 that will directly connect Compass Business Park to the BNSF and the UP intermodals. And then that is reinforced with a series of truck barriers in combination with truck turnarounds on each side of the barrier. So we don't want somebody getting to a barrier and not able to figure out what to do. That's been a very big problem in the area, we know. These turnarounds will also serve as a bypass for emergency vehicles and for ag equipment. The Compass Business Park wants to be attractive to employees too. So factory workers, warehouse workers, truck drivers, these are America's new heroes. They've always, as you know from our previous presentations, been very, very important to us. And we want to make the park very accommodating to the pedestrian, to people, not just to trucks, large vehicles. So some of the things that we will be doing All the streets in the park will be lighted. We will have PACE bus service in the park and handicap access to our buildings, to the bus. Jogging and walking paths throughout the park that will connect into Medewan and the Route 66 trail. And exterior meet and eat areas on all buildings where people can go outside and enjoy the outdoors and not just be, cooped up inside. But this will also provide a very nice pedestrian feel when people pull up to the building. So employees, employers will all have a very good feel when they approach the buildings. How does Compass Business Park Joliet consider the environment? And this has been something that we've taken very seriously from day one. So within the park right now, we have two major features. One will be a walking trail. This will be along the Manhattan Creek. It's a beautiful area, naturally beautiful area. So we plan to enhance it. We plan to add features to the trail. This will be adjacent to land that is currently owned by the Township High School District. So it could be a fantastic feature if they were ever to build something there. It'll also have public parking so that the public can come and enjoy this feature. So we think that'll be tremendous for the people in the park and for the public. It will also be connected to the path system throughout the park, so somebody can head out at lunchtime on their bike and take a ride over here and walk on the trail. The second feature is the conservation easement, which is up in the very northeastern part of the park. This covers part of Jackson Creek. This grew out of one of the meetings, or a meeting with a couple of neighbors. We walked the property over there and determined that it was really very nice. But there was a huge concern that we would actually build something in that area, in the buildable portion of it. So we stepped out right away and said, look, that's not what we're here for. So we agreed to put a conservation easement over that area. So not only will we not build on it, but nobody will ever build on it. It's just a beautiful natural area. So in addition to that, so those are a couple of the bigger features, but in addition, the entire park will be built with dark sky lighting, so we want to be very sensitive to the environment and to our neighbors. Every building will come with electric car chargers. We want to be down this progressive path towards electric vehicles, and so we want to have each building set up to have it so that can be scaled up to a larger degree as more and more electric cars come on the scene. All the detention, as you've heard before, will be naturalized. And one of the speakers had talked about stewardship. It's great to plant this stuff, but it's actually very expensive to get it to thrive. And so we are very aware of that. There's a 3-year program with every planting to make sure that it survives and thrives. Once it gets past that 3rd year and we've done our job, Mother Nature takes care of it, and it's just absolutely wonderful. It's a win-win, low cost and high benefit. We take no variance to any Joliet landscape requirement. You have very strong requirements. I applaud you for them, and we plan to take no variance to any of those. And just at a minimum, we anticipate about 8,000 trees being planted along just the road frontages themselves, in addition to all around the buildings. What else makes CDP Joliet unique? We have a landmark labor agreement that guarantees that the union trades will build and maintain the park, and this is very significant. There's a lot of work that happens in the parks after the buildings are up. Continual. Every building is continually being maintained and improved, and this will be done with union forces, which we think is fantastic. An unprecedented obligation to study the actual traffic after every 3 million square feet of buildings. So again, unheard of, but after we get through each 3 million feet, we will stop and we will go back and count those 59 intersections that completely surround the park, and see if our projections were correct. And if not, make modifications to the improvements that we are doing or will have done at that point. And the third item is that there is no TIF or taxpayer funding of the park infrastructure, regardless of whether that infrastructure is public or private, and regardless of whether it is on-site or off-site. And for a park of this size, that is definitely unique. Any other benefits of Compass Business Park Joliet? The community committee that we've talked about to ensure that Compass Business Park directly benefits the local community. And this is something that we would want to get started right away. If we are lucky enough to achieve approval from you, we would look to the council to select somebody to help us set this up and to figure out who's going to be on the committee from staff, from council, from the community. And we want to start having meetings with this group right away. And this would be something that would go on through the entire development of the park. And as you know, all those requirements are included in the annexation agreement proposal. We will also be constructing the first bike and pedestrian crossing around 53, so the bridge will have a path 10 foot wide, which will provide a safe crossing of 53, and will connect Elwood to Medewan, will connect the new Route 66 path that's in the works, and will connect the entire Compass Business Park. And of course, the park will create the opportunity for more sales tax generators like Amazon and Wayfair to locate within the city of Joliet. So we know property tax is great, but we also know that retail sales tax is pretty nice too. And we will restore direct access for the farmers to the intermodals. So they used to be able to come in on Walter Strong and get to the BN and the UP. That's no longer possible. So we will allow them to enter through the park and use the bridge to allow the farming community to have faster access to a higher price location to sell their product. One of the things that's come up many times is Lincoln National Cemetery, and I will tell you that when we started the project, when we were proposing the project in Elwood, that we met with the cemetery then with the village of Elwood. That's how important it was to us, and it still is. We've had another meeting with them, and they have one and only one concern that they expressed, and that was the trucks who do turn around in the cemetery. The closure of Walter Strawn created a situation where trucks end up on 53 and they have no access to the intermodal anymore, and they start searching for a way. So we are very forthright in our commitment to them that we intend to add signage on 53. And now, first of all, we intend to build a bridge over 53. That bridge would remove the intersection of Walter Strawn, Ira Morgan on the west side or east side. It would remove that intersection from 53. That is the closest intersection to the cemetery. So that intersection would be completely gone. Currently, that intersection is planned to serve up to 2 million square feet of industrial buildings. And their only access would be that intersection. So the removal of that intersection, which is already serving a 500,000 square foot building for Bissell, would be a benefit. But so we start with building the bridge, we start with removing that intersection completely, and then we add signage north and south of the cemetery. And the reason for this signage is to bring folks in to our dedicated truck turnaround, our truck information center. So this that you see on the screen right now would be built just off of Route 53 on Mississippi, on North Point's property. And it's a very large turnaround, different than all the rest. And the idea here is to bring the trucks into here, have signage, have a station where a guard would be, and to be able to assist them as they're all looking for a way to get into the current Elwood or Joliet intermodal. So we'll welcome anybody in, doesn't matter what park they're looking for. The idea would be to come here and let us direct you where you need to go, so you do not end up in the cemetery. And the last thing we did discuss with the cemetery was, would they want us to possibly construct one of our truck barriers and turnarounds? And they may consider that, and I stress may, because it is a sacred place and they can't just, make changes. So this is something that we had proposed to them. And the idea would be that we would build it, North Point at our expense, and we would also maintain it. And we made that point clearly because, maintenance of anything like this does take time and money. And we said very clearly we would do that. So one of the last things I want to show you is how does Compass Business Park Joliet fit into the existing comprehensive plans. What you have on the screen is the Compass Business Park in blue in the center. To the southwest is what you will find today on the website for Elwood for their comprehensive plan. That area is intended to be intermodal related industrial, and the western 260 acres of that area is owned by North Point, and it is the home of Bissell today, and eventually the home of over 2 million feet of industrial. What you have to the east is from the Manhattan Comprehensive Plan, which again is intermodal related industrial. And sandwiched quite nicely between those two is the proposed Compass Business Park Joliet. I do want to point out one thing for our neighbors who are north of Manhattan Road. So you see a portion of the park that extends north of Manhattan Road. And the city has asked, and we have certainly agreed, that that area north of Manhattan Road deserves special attention because of its proximity to the existing neighborhood. And so you'll see in the annexation agreement that that area will require a PUD, planned unit development, which is a public process, and that North Point has committed in the annexation agreement that that area could have and likely would have some alternative zoning. So the potential exists for office, retail, light commercial, and residential up there. And we have also, in one of our neighbor meetings, offered that should we get approval from the city of Joliet, we will host a neighborhood meeting just for that neighborhood to talk about some of the details. And, but I think that also we know that that development is quite a ways down the road up there. So I think that the park fits quite nicely between the master plans for the two adjacent communities. And with that, I will say thank you very much again. And I am going to turn off my screen.
Are there any questions? Go down the pad.
Any questions?
Jan, Larry?
No.
Don Dickinson, any questions?
No.
Sherry Reardon, questions?
I'm good. No questions.
Mike Turk?
I have a couple for Steve Jones, but not for.
Okay, I'll come back to you then. Betty, any questions?
Okay.
Yes, Mayor, just one question, just for clarification on my side. Did she say it was 59 intersections that will be covered by this?
For the traffic study, I think Mr. Robinson talked about that.
In the traffic?
Yeah, it's we counted. It's 50-some,
Okay.
Councilwoman Gavin. Yeah, it's 50-some intersections, and I think we may have our traffic engineer on later on and give you the exact number. But yeah, it's
Okay, that was in. I thought I heard that correctly. I just wanted to make sure I heard that correctly. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
You bet.
Well, thank you. Mike, if you, Larry, go.
Yeah, I did think of a question, if you don't mind, Mayor.
Sure.
For North Point, could you restate clearly that the bridge that everyone refers to, which is a bypass over 53, that it is a requirement, not an option?
Yes. Yeah, it's stated in the annexation agreement that no permits would be provided until the bridge is, I believe, underway.
I guess along those lines, I have a question. It was posed to me. What would happen if there was an issue with the bridge after it's built, and once the park begins to get built out, if there's a traffic accident that blocks the bridge or repairs need to be done, where will the trucks go in that case?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the bridge is probably requires 2 lanes. We always build everything to 3 lanes automatically, just so that there is a spare lane in case anything would happen. And we agreed with IDOT in an abundance of caution to build the bridge as 4 lanes. So we will actually have a 4-lane bridge. So the probability of the bridge being out of commission is very low. However, we still need to have an emergency plan. And so each one of those truck barriers will be built with a double cul-de-sac, one on each side of the barrier. And the cul-de-sac will have a gate. We had originally thought it would be a swing gate. It's probably more likely going to be an automatic thing so that farmers can get through it quickly if they need to, emergency personnel can get through it. And that would be something that would be in the control of the city. So we would have to work together to say the bridge is going to be out of commission, on a certain date, and we want to work with you to redirect traffic for that period of time while that bridge is out of commission. If it were an emergency, of course, we would all work together to do the same thing. But the city would be, through their police department, would be in control of those gates if they need to be used for a short period of time, if there is a significant emergency on the bridge. But again, it would have to be, with 4 lanes, it would have to be quite significant.
Okay, thank you.
I do have one question.
Yes.
Tom, this question's for you. This was brought to me yesterday by a constituent, and wanting to know what is going on with the 103 acres that were approved back in November.
Yes, that's a great question. We are purchasing the 103 acres. That closing will take place along with all of the other closings here soon, we hope. And, again, that would be, in my opinion, that would fall into this same category as the other land north of Manhattan. We would want to work with the city to, over time, determine exactly what the uses are up there, and then develop that through a PUD. So we would come back and do that through PUD along with the rest of the land that's north of Manhattan. But it will be purchased by North Point and will be part of the larger park. And the standards that apply up there are very similar that you approved. So again, though, through the PUD, we can align them perfectly at that time. Did I answer your question?
Yeah. Just a couple questions real quick. You had mentioned about modifying, I guess, the traffic study at the area, what was it, 300 million square feet, or did I get that right? 3 million. 300 is quite a lot, 3 million. Can you give me kind of an example of what some of the, I don't know if you had to do this before, but the modifications would be in terms of the traffic? If you saw a need of...
So, this has never been done before, to our knowledge. Typically, any development does a traffic projection up front, and then they do a certain amount of improvements, and then they're done. So we won't be doing that. We will be continually monitoring the traffic every 3 million square feet. We have a full traffic study now, and right now, that traffic study includes what we think is somewhere between $15 and $18 million of off-site improvements that would be done to roads outside of the park. And over time, though, we will go back and count the traffic. So it's all done based on traffic counts. But again, these are projections. So we have agreed that we will not use projections in the future. We will go back and actually count the traffic at those intersections to see if the intersection improvements are correct or need to be possibly more robust, or possibly not as robust as we thought. But it'll be based on actual counts. So traffic is a very difficult thing. You know, populations migrate, and workers migrate, and jobs migrate, and so it is a imprecise science at best. And so to make it more precise, we've agreed to go back and check and see if we're actually correct. And if we're not, then we have to make other changes.
Okay, thank you. One other question.
Did I answer your question?
Yes, yes, you did. Thank you. The 4,500 jobs that you're projecting that the park would bring, is that based based on some of your other developments or parks that you have throughout the country, in terms of what type of companies or warehouses that you'll be bringing in? How did you kind of arrive at that number?
That's right. It's based on a combination of you know, some percentage of manufacturing and some percentage of warehousing. Again, you know, those things tend to change over time, but and I think it represents what we think is a minimum. So we don't see typically the job count being below that number. Quite often it can be above that number, but that typically represents what we think is a minimum. We want to be, you know, honest and conservative in our projections, and that's what it's based on.
All right, and I know you spoke about union jobs as doing the construction phase of the development, but in terms of the actual workers in the different facilities, do you? I know it's depending on, you know, what companies come in, but from your experience with your other developments throughout the country, can you speak on that with the type of jobs that as the 4,500 jobs would be?
Sure. Well, you know, again, we certainly expect to have some mixture of manufacturing, light assembly, and warehousing. As to, you know, what percentages we get, we don't know. It changes, you know, everywhere. We want to build a very upscale park that a large manufacturer would be extremely comfortable locating in, and extremely comfortable having a, you know, a large employee count of well-compensated workers. So again, and even for our warehousing jobs, you know, again, our new heroes, you know, we want to build very high quality facilities. We tend to keep our facilities. We still own the majority by far of everything we've developed. So we try to align ourselves with quality companies who hire quality employees and pay a fair wage. And that has been our experience. I think some of you had the opportunity in your tour to ask questions about that of some of the employers, and hopefully you heard answers that made you comfortable. So that's been our experience, and we certainly look for this park to be our nicest park yet, and for the facilities and the employers and the employees to be the highest quality that we've had yet.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Robinson, Councilman Hugg, question, follow up on Councilman Morris's questions too. Now, like you said, the majority of what you build, you own and landlord. You have an existing client base that rents on different campuses that you, if I understand correctly, that you construct. Can you go in depth a little bit about your existing client base and what kind of companies you deal with?
Certainly, you know, and it's the Fortune 500 list. You know, as you know, you've seen you know, Amazon and Wayfair, but we also have, for example, the park in Kansas has Triumph Manufacturing, who makes airplane parts. We were, and I think still are, General Motors' largest landlord. We are trying real hard to become Ford's largest landlord. And the 1.6 million feet that we purchased on the southeast side of Chicago has predominantly Ford manufacturing folks in it. The new building is also going to be a Ford assembly facility. So we actually have cars being built in our facilities. Right now they're building the Lincoln Aviator and the Police Interceptor are being built in our building, from literally rolling in on a couple of chassis and four wheels to rolling out a complete car. So we run the gamut of types of companies, and again, try to align ourselves with the country's best companies, because especially in times like these, you want to be aligned with the best possible companies, and we have been very, very fortunate to be able to do that. Companies like Crocs and Patagonia, Adidas, some of the best names in corporate America are our tenants. So, did I answer your question?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you. Councilman Turk, I know you had questions for Steve Jones.
And
Yeah.
Steve, after you're done, our CEO wanted to make a statement, or would you rather that he did that right now?
Yeah, why don't you do it first, and then we'll go on to the council question.
Okay, so if Chris, I don't know if you can unmute Nathaniel's line, but Nathaniel Hagedorn is on the line, and hopefully you'll be able to hear him right now.
Good evening. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Again, my name is Nathaniel Hagedorn, and I'm the founder and CEO of North Point Development. And I most importantly want to thank all of you, and thank Mayor Oderkirk and all of the members of the City Council, and everyone who is watching at home as well, for the opportunity to speak before you and present really kind of our vision for Compass Business Park. I also would very much like to thank the mayor and all the city council members, as well as the city staff and other interested groups such as the Joliet Community College, who took the time to come to Kansas City and to see Logistics Park Kansas City with your own eyes. I recognize and I really truly applaud the seriousness by which you're evaluating this decision about whether to make Compass Business Park a part of your community. And I also appreciate the fact that you are ensuring that you make a fully informed decision. I only wish that all of the residents would have had the opportunity to come to Kansas City, as many of you did, and I'm confident they would have seen what you saw, which is a master plan business community with dozens of first-rate companies, Fortune 500 companies, and strong businesses employing thousands of local residents. And they would see a responsible plan for both car and truck traffic in a thriving community surrounding Logistics Park Kansas City, with new houses and new grocery stores and new schools and new banks and new retail stores. And I feel very confident that anyone who would have taken the time to come to Kansas City would see that our project in Kansas City, just as Compass was a home run for the community. And I sincerely hope you'll be able to support our proposal. I also want to thank each of you for your service to the community. Being an elected leader is certainly not the easiest job, or a job that gets much praise. Often it gets a whole lot of criticism. But I want you to know, regardless of what you decide tonight, how much I appreciate your service to the community as an elected official. This evening I'd like to focus my comments a little more on North Point Development and put forth several commitments to you. Our core values are really the foundation of our culture, and they guide us in each of the business decisions that we make. Among our core values, are our principles of how we operate, which is to do the right thing every time, to live generously, to take ownership of every situation, and to put people first. And I can assure you that Compass Business Park was built on these values. By definition, we're a developer, but we're not like most developers. We truly do things differently. We don't construct buildings, as Tom said, and just sell them and leave town. We really pride ourselves in building quality projects and helping draw a really quality tenant base. Those tenants in turn attract quality employees that provide really more than a job. They provide truly a career. And I think just as many of you heard from the employees while you were visiting Kansas City, that these companies really provide a great path for growth for those employees. And they're not dead-end jobs, as some have suggested. But the buildings they can only do so much. It's really the people that make the difference. And that's why we are very committed to being a long-term partner with both our clients and the communities we serve. And we get consistent feedback that we're the best real estate partner that our clients have ever worked with. And we're confident we can bring those clients to your community. And hopefully, if you say yes to North Point, eventually you'll be saying yes to clients like General Motors and Adidas and Patagonia and General Electric and Ford Motor Company. And I'd also note that for the past several years, we've truly been listening to the people in the community within Will County about how best to design Compass Business Park. And after nearly 4 years of being in Will County and listening and hearing from community stakeholders, I have no question in my mind that this park is going to be second to none. And that's why we've worked with the neighbors in the city, not only to address concerns and answer questions, but we've tried to incorporate all the ideas and feedback, which truly have been instrumental in helping shape our plan. And, you know, the result of that plan is the application that's now filed before you. And I'm confident you'll find it's a responsive, master planned approach that aims to control truck traffic, manage growth, and ensure quality of life that keeps, you know, the community safe. Also, in Joliet, we'll be providing $2 million to the city up front and nearly $20 million a year in property tax revenue for the city, local school districts, the park and library districts, and the Joliet Junior College in Jackson Township. We'll also be paying 31 cents a square foot for every building that we develop in the city. We've reached a landmark project labor agreement that goes well beyond just the construction phase. As Tom mentioned, it will include maintenance on roads and maintenance of our buildings, and truly is now being used as a model by labor. And more importantly, I can assure you we're not using any kind of bait and switch tactics or making false promises. What you see is what you get, and we truly try to honor the way we conduct business as through really the golden rule and operating with a handshake. A promise made is truly a promise kept. And I think, you know, in light of the pandemic and all the uncertainty that that's created, I think Compass Business Park provides a tremendous economic opportunity for workers and for employees to build their careers and build their path and take care of their families. And I recognize this is a really big emotional issue. And, you know, I think the key aspect to remember is, you know, when, as Tom mentioned, when the intermodals were designed more than 20 years ago, no one would have predicted that this would become the epicenter of North America's and North America's largest inland port, which feeds our nation's supply chain. You know, and the e-commerce boom has only magnified and intensified that demand. The increased truck traffic and congested roadways all are a common concern with the issues that you will need to continue to confront. You know, the intermodals are expanding, both of them. E-commerce is booming, and public's demand for goods and services will only become stronger. And the truck truck traffic will continue to come whether you approve Compass or not. You know, those challenges are only going to become more amplified in the next few years. And with or without North Point, more trains will continue to arrive and more cargoes and products will be unloaded for the nearly 85 million customers in the upper Midwest that the intermodal serve. And I think the good thing is that we've made a commitment to do things differently with our master planned approach and our closed loop truck program. This will make sure that we prevent trucks from taking local roads. It'll prevent trucks from interfering with the funeral processions, and it'll be limiting the trucks on the local expressways by creating that direct connection to the intermodal from the business park. And I think also, you know, by creating the Learning and Career Center for workforce development and training, the Community Enhancement Fund, all of these ideas came from community input. You know, I guess I want to say that I know the opponents of the project tell us just wait for more studies, wait for more construction to take place, wait for things to get back to normal after the pandemic ends. But what they really want is just no. That means no to Joliet, no to jobs, no to transportation solutions, no to doing the right thing, and no to the people, and no to tens of millions of dollars of annual tax base. You know, they fail, or I think they choose not to acknowledge that we've been waiting and working on this project for nearly 4 years. We were told, you know, wait for the completion of the Will County Community Friendly Freight Mobility Study. We waited, and we now meet all 53 of the requirements. We were waiting until 80 and I-55 had funding. $850 million of redevelopment is slated to start in the coming, We've met with hundreds and hundreds of people. We've conducted public meetings. We've held open houses. We've organized neighborhood meetings. We've met with stakeholders. And we can't wait any longer. We don't believe Will County or Joliet can wait longer either. The time truly is now, because we have an opportunity to do something much better, to truly change how industrial development is done, and to do it the right way by following a master plan and managing growth in a responsible way through a closed loop truck network. And that's why we've done these things differently. That's why this agreement truly hinges on accountability. You know, we don't get any permits issued without a bridge. That's why, you know, our shared vision for Compass Business Park, you know, was shared well before any plans were submitted. And that's why, you know, we believe we've addressed so many community concerns and made so many adjustments that go beyond what is required or virtually any other developer would ever do. And that's why it's taken us nearly 4 years to get to where we are tonight. And that's why we believe we're raising the bar, not just for us, but we believe for future industrial developers. And I want you to know that you have my word and personal commitment that we are truly a different kind of partner. And we're going to be there, hopefully, for you both now and well into the future. And on behalf of our entire team, I humbly ask for your support to allow us to become your partner in the future, starting today. So please say yes to North Point, and please say yes to jobs, and say yes to new revenues, and say yes to the Compass Business Park. Thank you again for your service.
Thank you. Mike, you want to go ahead with your questions?
Sure. Maybe, I don't know if this was probably for you, Steve.
Sure, I'll give it a shot.
Okay. You know, one of the keys, I think, to having the closed loop be a success is the Hobolt Road Bridge. And I just was wondering what the status of that is, because I don't know if we haven't seen any development agreement yet with CenterPoint, but hopefully we have some information on that.
Yeah, I do. We've had ongoing discussions within the last week. We had a contingent here at City Hall. We met up here in the council chambers so we could have social distancing. Mike, it's down to arguing about easements, like whose easement takes precedence over the other. So there was a push to get the construction started this spring. That push is still on. I would hope, if not at the next meeting, the meeting after that, the agreement's brought forward. But I can say with pretty much certainty that project is moving forward and going to go forward very, very soon.
Okay, thank you. And then my other comment, and I just want to make sure I understand this. The one slide showed $18 million of taxes generated off North Point, which is a lot of money. However, I think the president kind of alluded to this effect in his comments he just made, that is for all taxing bodies within the park. Correct me if I'm wrong. So you take the 20%, and it's still a lot of money. It would generate about $3.6 million to the city of Joliet. Is that correct?
That's correct. At present, our estimates, based upon other industrial developments in that general neck of the woods, a common rule of thumb is about $1 per square foot of total property tax revenues generated. Of that amount, about 25% or so is city. So, you know, we've been using $2.5 million a year in property tax upon full build-out, with the remaining amounts obviously being shared between the schools, county, and other taxing bodies.
Right. Yeah. I just want everybody to understand we don't get the $18 million, unfortunately.
Anything else, Mike?
That's it.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from anybody?
No.
Okay, I think we're ready then. Are we going to start the calls in now?
Actually, Mayor, before we start, I think it's important for the public to understand what went into the process to hold the meeting today. So if I could...
Yeah, please.
It actually started on March 9th of 2020 when the governor issued a gubernatorial disaster proclamation, which was in effect, as we know, for 30 days. March 16th, the governor issued Executive Order 2020-07, which suspended provisions of the Open Meetings Act, and then all public gatherings of 50 more people are prohibited. March 17th, as you mentioned, the first hearing date for the project, that was continued to April 7th. Then on March 20, the governor issued Executive Order 2020-10, which was the shelter at home prohibiting gatherings of 10 or more people with some exceptions. Then on April 1st, the governor issued Executive Order 2020-18, which extended the 2 executive orders I mentioned previously to April 30th. Then, as you know, again, on April 7th, the hearing was continued to today's date. April 7th, the combined city council meeting where the council passed a resolution which allows for Joliet City Council members to participate in any public meeting remotely, and we established rules for public comment at upcoming city council meetings. So the rules for public comment are in effect until the end of the disaster declaration or by passage of a council resolution, whichever occurs first. So there's 2 ways to participate in the meeting. Members of the public may submit written comments and or participate through a telephone call. So summarizing the submit written comments. So after the publication of the agenda, anyone can email comments to publiccomment@joliet.gov. On Thursday, April 9, 2020, the clerk posted the agenda for tonight's meeting. The legal department worked through the holiday weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And when I say we, I do have to give kudos to the entire legal department, particularly Alex Weiss, who is in charge of telephone calls and spent the long holiday weekend fielding and returning calls, and Heather Babecki, who is in charge of the written comments, emails, and she spent the long holiday weekend reviewing and converting all the emails into PDFs. I do also have to give kudos to Dave Brainer and his IT department team. Legally, we started this process 2 or more weeks ago, and the IT department was able to go above and beyond. And number 1, figure out a way to have council members participate remotely. Number 2, have members of the public comment live during the meeting. And number 3, have an applicant present remotely, which we had. So the email comments were converted to PDFs, as you know. As council knows, they were sent to all council in batches. So batch 1 was sent on April 11th at 8:45 a.m. Batch 2, April 11 at 8:48 a.m. Batch 3, April 12th at 7:30 a.m. Batch 4, April 12 at 8:28 p.m. And batch 5, and these are the comments that were sent with less than 24 hours notice, was sent on April 13th at 4:20 p.m. And batch 6 was actually dropped off at the police department and was sent on April 13th at 4:30 p.m. So here's the totals, and I know there are some duplicates, but to summarize, it was 130 yes, 111 no, and 6 others. So a couple of things I wanted everyone to note about the batch comments. They are all the comments received from March 13, 2020 through 5:30 p.m. on April 13th today. The comments include those sent to the city clerk starting on March 13th and those sent to public comment at joliet.gov starting on April 9th. These batches do not include emails sent to council directly, and as council knows, you received probably quite a bit of them. Some of the batch comments are from Alexandra M. Weiss, legal assistant. She works for the city. So these comments are typed in from her, or actually not from her. A person called, and even though it was the weekend and not during regular business hours, Alex had been answering the phones and calling people back rather than wait till today, and she took the comments and emailed them to public comment at Joliet.gov. So that just means that the city did receive some comments that were not necessarily emailed. Live participation telephone call. After publication of the agenda, those wishing to participate in the live telephone call option at the public meeting had to sign up not less than 24 hours prior to the meeting. A city representative will call the participant at the relevant portion of the meeting, and the participant will be allowed to participate telephonically at the meeting. To participate, the request, this is what we had, is shall be made through the city's Joliet.gov website, but just so everyone knows, we did receive a handful of requests to participate, not necessarily through the form on the website, and those were called to Alex. We actually received another one on the publiccomment.com that says they wanted to participate. We put that person on the list also. So let me kind of summarize what we did today. So we reviewed the list, and we noted that there were 30 citizens that signed up for public comment only. So which, if we followed the letter of the law and how it reads, and these people would be called after the, presuming there's a North Point vote, or would have been at the end of the meeting, presuming there's a vote. So legal felt it was best to contact all these people this morning, and a majority of them were contacted, and sure enough, this group did want to sign up for the public hearing portion, not necessarily the public comment portion. So we switched all 30 of these people to have them comment before the North Point vote. So all 30 were switched, and there was a total of 282 that have signed up for public hearing. So there were 6 individuals who duplicated registration to speak at tonight's council meeting with the same information. The second or subsequent time that these individuals signed up was removed from the call list. On April 13th, this morning at about 10:40 a.m., I sent them an email notifying them of the duplication, and then no one responded to that email. Like I said before, somebody sent a request to comment under public comment and that person's name was added, and then I want to emphasize the legal department's direct number was included, and the legal department did answer calls and called persons back this weekend. So in a little bit, there's going to be 3 members of our legal department downstairs making calls in the order that the person registered. So if you are a caller, you will receive a short reminder about public participation and then placed on hold. A member of the IT staff is in the council chambers, and that person is patching the calls through for public comment.
Okay. Thank you.
Question, clarification, Marty.
Yeah.
I think there were some folks that were misunderstood as I listened to them and saw their social media posts and such, that they could only sign up on Sunday. When did the sign up start? The ending was Sunday at 5:30.
That's Thursday.
Thursday at what time, roughly?
What time was that agenda posted? I'm looking at the clerk.
Okay, so Thursday afternoon, all day Friday, all day Saturday, until 5:30 Sunday. Thank you.
Okay, well, we have 298 people that have signed up, so we're gonna just go in order, chronological order. Just as a reminder, when you get patched through, I'll ask for your name and your address and ask you to make your comment. At that point, the 4-minute time limit will start. When we get to the 4 minutes, the call will be dropped. And then I ask people to be mindful, we're on public TV, so please keep your comments appropriate. Anything else, or are we ready to start?
Open the public hearing.
Yeah, we gotta open the public hearing. Krista?
Reopen it.
We had reopened it at the beginning before the presentation, but now would be appropriate for public comments for
Okay.
those.
So we'll begin the public comments, and I'll punch the first one through.
We have Delilah on the phone.
Ma'am, can you state your name and your address and make your comment, please?
Delilah Legret, Jackson Township. I'm in opposition to the project. I want to thank the council members who took the time to speak with me over the last few months. I learned a lot. I've learned that some didn't understand that zoning had absolutely no relation to a property's assessed value and seemed to think that simply zoning this land would generate revenue. I bring this up to clarify to others I may not have had a chance to talk to. That's not how this works. A property is assessed based on its use, and more specifically with warehousing, is typically valued with what is termed an income-based approach. What does this mean? More vacancies? That means less tax dollars for you. Lower rent to attract tenants? That means less tax dollars. Speaking of less tax dollars, the slide presented at the community meeting at the VFW showed the city of Joliet would receive $3 million a year. And yet, an email from Mayor Odekirk yesterday said that the city now expects $1.7 million a year, and that's after a 20-year build-out. A nearly 50% cut in project revenue projections should be something to make you take pause. I wouldn't worry about it too much, though. North Pine is asking for an enterprise zone, and they've assured you that that's only a benefit and doesn't affect any local tax dollars. But the Revenue Act 35 ILCS 200/18 provides that any taxing district can order the clerk to abate any portion of its taxes on real property located within an enterprise zone. Your approval of an enterprise zone can be a pre-approval for property taxes to be abated. We wouldn't do that, I imagine is what some of you are thinking. Here's the thing. North Point is touting over a $1 billion investment. It is good business to recoup some of that investment. They would go bankrupt otherwise. How are they recouping some of that investment? Maybe they aren't expecting a tip on the front end, but they've certainly built in safeguards to abate property taxes on the back end, whether it's through their tenants who ask for it or the Revenue Act for an enterprise zone. I wouldn't get too bogged down in all the numbers, though. The fact remains that you have no access to the bridge that you are requiring for the project to be built. And I'm not talking about the bridge itself. I'm talking about the 1.5 miles away you are from said bridge. It's not yours. It will never be the city of Joliet. It's been decided by a court of law that it is within the village of Elwood. So $3 million, $1.7 million, $1 in revenue, it makes no difference. A vote today is a vote for years of lawsuits. That's all it is. Mr. Jones had said earlier that this is just setting the stage. I think it does a lot more than that. It puts Joliet taxpayers in a very risky situation. It puts them on the hook to attempt to overturn a court's decision on Elwood's land. They would be liable for years of fighting to build this project. And if it finally does get built, you've already laid the foundation for any possible revenue to be abated. It sure does sound expensive. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have Bruce on the line.
Sir, can you state your name, address, and make your comment?
Yes, my name is Bruce Renwick, and I live at 1508 West Acres Road in Joliet. My comments are this. When I moved to Joliet 40-plus years ago, it was known as the City of Champion. I'm afraid that relatively soon will be known as the City of Warehouses, the City of Containers, and the City of Trucks. I'm afraid that over the long haul, this is going to affect my property values in Joliet. We have a lot on the table right now, especially with our water problems. And I don't really think we need to worry too much about $1.7 million in taxes coming from North Point after 20 years. By then, we'll be 10 years, hopefully, into Lake Michigan water, and we'll have something to work on. For right now, I find this whole thing a tremendous waste of time. I think most of the people in Joliet really don't want it or don't care about it. So, from my standpoint, this is a waste. And I would urge you all to vote no on it, to save your time, to save your trouble, and to save us some money in the long run. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have Cornell.
Cornell, can you state your name, address, and make your comment?
Hi, my name is Cornell Darden Jr. I live at 1017 Richard Street. I'm a longtime resident of Joliet, and I also serve as the president and CEO of the South Suburban Black Chamber of Commerce. I'm wholeheartedly in support of the North Point project. I had the opportunity to visit Kansas City, in which I actually saw one of the projects that North Point has done out there. I had the opportunity, along with my colleagues from the chamber, to speak with some of the workers who work at the warehouses and manufacturing facilities at that park. And what we saw was very impressive. Those workers were not only extremely happy with the jobs that they were doing, but also with the wages. The wages were, in their eyes, livable wages, and they were very proud of the jobs that they had. North Point is bringing 4,500 jobs to our community that are going to be permanent jobs. I think our Joliet community needs those jobs, and we have a lot of citizens of Joliet who would benefit from those full-time jobs coming. $1.3 billion of investment into our community is very crucial to future economic development. I know that other towns in Illinois will be jumping over each other to land economic development piece such as this. The amount of tax dollars, $18.7 million total, going to our school district, our county, to our city, to our township, to our park district is just tremendous. Our libraries, our junior colleges, and we're always looking for more tax dollars and more ways to fund our city and some of the services that we provide. And I think that this is an awesome project. I know some members of the community have concerns about traffic. I think actually seeing it in Kansas City really opened up my eyes and some of my colleagues to the ways in which this project won't affect traffic. The closed loop system is an excellent strategy to not only prevent further traffic issues, but to eliminate some of the current traffic issues that we have. So not only myself as a private citizen of Joliet am I in support of this project, but as the president of the chamber and speaking on behalf of the business community and black business community in particular, we wholeheartedly support this project. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have Catherine on the line.
Ma'am, can you state your name, address, and make your comment, please? Hello?
Is this,
Yes, ma'am, can you state your name, address, and make your comment, please?
sure. So this is Stephanie Irvine. I am in Jackson Township. I wanted to thank you so much for being incredibly gracious and just bestowing upon all of us this opportunity to speak during just such an unprecedented time. The city is allowing us the rights that are afforded to us by the U.S. Constitution and the Open Meetings Act. So, thank you. Before I get into that, I just want to make sure that is, I very much appreciate that. Feeling very, very blessed. But let's get down to brass tacks. The fact that we are even having this meeting right now, the reality is it's an utter disregard for people's right to due process, and it laughs in the face of the Attorney General. Your website was down 20 minutes before this meeting started. That's a fact. Who's to say that the website isn't going to crash while we're doing this? But I guess we'll find out. Your residents tried to stop this circus from going forward. The judge admonished you and condemned the actions as shady and a disservice to the public. That's a fact. Beyond the fact that you provided extraordinarily short notice to the public for this meeting, you have not even followed your own rules and procedures. North Point, in their pre-annexation agreement, is asking for a special use permit with the freight terminal, as well as a variation regarding stacking containers. That's a fact, plain language in the agreement before you. Per the City of Joliet zoning ordinance, and this is also factual, you were to have held, before the Zoning Board of Appeals, a hearing regarding that special permit so that you could be advised by that advising body. You never held it. You didn't bother to have it, which deprives the property owners near the footprint the right to provide comment and ask questions of North Point. This makes a mockery of our democracy. What I don't care about is Kansas City. Kansas City is not Joliet. It is not Will County. It is nothing like this area. They are not in the same dynamic that we are in, and the infrastructure woes we have are not what they have. This will add to the problems that we already have, and that is a fact. You are adding more to an already stressed area. Staffing agencies are already having a hard time filling the positions in the warehouses as it is. And North Point still refuses to guarantee that in writing that these jobs will be permanent, well-paying jobs that enhance the community. The notion that the warehouses are here already or that we need to embrace them is a fatalist attitude that provides no original thought or ability to conceptualize beyond the fecal sandwich you've been fed by North Point. You ignore the people who live in the path of the project as if they have no rights, but know this, the second you annex them, they become your constituents. And there's a whole lot of angry voices that should matter to you. At the Planning and Zoning meeting, the chair, John Dillon, asked the city attorney if this annexation, which hinges on cornering, would be an issue. He called it problematic. That's a fact. You can roll back the tape. I'm calling it flat out illegal because that's what it is. There is nothing about a pre-annexation agreement that legally binds you to everything in it. You are not gaining negotiating room for later. You are losing that ability. You don't need a lawyer to tell you that that's a farce, but maybe you do. I don't know. Last time I checked, it's like being married. Either you sign that contract or you don't. You buy a house, you sign.
We have the next caller.
Okay.
Hello? Hello?
Hi, ma'am, can you state your name and address and make your comment, please?
Sure.
Sure. My name is Catherine Cope. I live in Manhattan, Illinois. Thank you for giving me the chance to voice my opposition to the Compass Business Park pre-annexation proposal. As a lifelong resident of the area, I find the entire conversation surrounding this development discouraging, deceitful, and disappointing. I grew up in Joliet. I went to St. Patrick's Grade School. I attended Joliet Catholic Academy and was a graduate of the class of 2008. Parts of my family still reside in Joliet, and we continuously support institutions in the Joliet area. We frequent your restaurants that hold true to family values, like Truth Restaurant, Marishka's, and Semino's. We support your park district, paying non-resident rates to continue ball and T-ball. We attend Joliet Township, Joliet Catholic Academy, and Joliet Junior College sporting events and support our local student athletes. The bottom line is we support Joliet. I moved to Elwood years ago with my family. I am a teacher at Elwood Grade School, as is my fiance, and my parents and siblings still live in Elwood, along with countless aunts, uncles, and cousins. I lived there for years before just recently relocating to Manhattan. My children attend Wilson Creek Elementary, which sits in the backyard of this proposed development. We are active members in all three towns, and we support all three towns. We are your constituents, even if our zip code isn't on your campaign trail. As you can see, my roots run deep in these towns, and I love them and the values that I thought we shared as neighbors. Compass Business Park and North Point development conversations have followed my family for years and plagued our lives with worry and fear. This is not the answer to our traffic problem, nor is it the golden ticket to financial freedom. I have watched for years the stress this development is putting on our communities. We, the vast majority of residents in Elwood, Manhattan, and even Joliet, are vehemently against this development. While you have completely disregarded the stay-at-home order from Governor Pritzker, as well as the recommendation of numerous elected officials, you cannot deny that this pandemic has changed the landscape of our economy. It has magnified in an unprecedented way the importance of buying local and supporting small businesses. How important have your residents and those of us buying local been to businesses like the restaurants listed above, as well as the other small businesses in our community during this pandemic? I'm willing to bet that if you ask the owners of these places, their neighbors, your constituents, has been vital to their survival. We owe it to the small business owners and to those supporting them to continue to buy local and flood our small businesses with customers long after this pandemic is over. And by putting this warehouse development between us, you are cutting off those of us in this area from ever being able to support them. You are choking us out of being a part of the Joliet economic growth by putting a dangerous and unnecessary development between us. We do not need Compass Business Park. What we need is government officials who support their constituents and continue to implement the values that all three of these towns were founded on. I'm not opposed to union workers, nor am I opposed to sensible economic growth. That being said, catering to the few and ignoring the many is a slap in the face to those who represent. When you campaigned, you made promise to represent all of your constituents, not just those in select groups. We owe Compass Business Park and North Point Development nothing. They are not here to provide a master plan solution. They are here for their own benefit. And the vast majority of the 7+ hours of testimony they repeatedly remind us of has been in opposition to their development. You will have failed us all if you pass this proposal and allow it to decimate this area that we call home and drive out those of us who wish to continue to raise our families here. Let us down. Please vote for Compass Business Park and North Point Development.
Thank you.
We have the next caller.
Can you state your name, address, and make your comment, please?
Yes, hello. My name is Amanda Malatich, and I'm from Manhattan, Illinois.
Okay, go ahead, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. I want to address email responses that have been sent to me regarding this project. I want to address them quote by quote, section by section, and break it down by number, along with my answers. Number one, North Point has proposed a development that ultimately can be a $1 billion investment in our community. My answer, you use the word can be when it refers to the money generated, because we don't actually know. You are voting on a free annexation agreement that can be changed by North Point at any time. They have admitted that on the record. If you go back to January's City Council meeting. Number two, quote, included in this will be thousands of new jobs created, as well as a 100% project labor agreement that is already signed. My answer, the labor plan that has already been signed should never have been signed. Since this has not been approved yet or voted on, they should not be meeting with laborers And North Point has a clear public history of breaking their contracts with unions. Please see Dallas and Edgerton. Number 3, quote, in essence, this project represents 20 years of union jobs for our local tradesmen. On top of this, North Point is receiving 0 tax incentives from the city. They will pay 100% of all water fees, permit fees, etc. Once fully built out, the city of Joliet is estimated to collect $1.7 million a year in property tax revenue. My answer, you said 20 years of union jobs, but if there are 20 years of union jobs, that means the build-out will take 20 years. That means a delay in the $1.7 million for that long, and a delay in the $6 million that was promised for 20 years. Also, if you look at their other project, which is public record, after they build it out and the tenants or occupants take charge, they do their own hiring. North Point is not involved with tenants or who they hire. So guaranteeing jobs after build out or occupation is not true. If it takes 20 years to build out also, then the city won't see that $1.7 million until the 20 years is up and every building is occupied. The 31 cents that was also talked about is also capped at approximately $6 million, and that $6 million includes the $2 million up front. Number 4, the city of Joliet has made it clear that no building permits will be issued without the construction of the bridge. My answer, you said Joliet has made it clear without the bridge that this will not happen, but Tom George said in the January meeting on record that if the bridge falls through, it will be up to Joliet to find an alternative, and Compass Business Park will move forward with that alternative. But there is no alternative route in place at that point, but it can be done without the bridge, and that is in the pre-annexation agreement according to him. There are so many things wrong with this pre-annexation agreement, and it is as upsetting as an upstanding member of the community that you would not only disregard your constituents so blatantly, but to trust a company like North Point. Kansas City development is not comparable to Compass and Joliet. It is not comparable to our area, our roads, or our rails. The differences are incredible. That needs to be stopped being said because they are nothing alike. Hundreds of people who sent emails and signed up for calls should give you enough reasons to vote no. Right now you are being smokescreened by supposed money, but they will have all the control if you vote yes tonight. Also, for those members of this council that ran on a moratorium on warehouses to get voted in, I surely hope you remember that when the mayor calls for a vote tonight.
We have the next caller.
Okay. Can you state your name, address, and make your comment, please?
Good evening. My name is Paul Malafich. I'm a resident of Manhattan. Just want to start by saying this project will be a mile from my home and from my children's schools. I just want to put on the record the list of groups, organizations, and politicians against North Point. Please allow me to finish my list without interruption so I can just get through my allotted time. Starting off with Jackson Township, Manhattan Township, Elwood School District, Litterway School District, Manhattan School District, Elwood Fire Protection District, Larry Walsh Sr., Nick Ficarlio, Don Gold, Joe Van Doon, Amanda Koch, Judy O'Gallagher, Rachel Ventura, Larry Walsh Jr., Patrick Joyce, Philanese White, Warehouses Workers for Justice, Open Land, the Sahara Club, Midwin Alliance, Will County Environmental Network, Stone City, VFW Post 2199, Wilmington VFW Post 5422, Manhattan American Legion Post 0935, Cheers to the Warriors, Canines for Veteran Warriors, Operation Care Package, Veteran Outreach Services of Illinois, Will County Sheriff's Department FOP Labor Union, Cunningham Neighborhood Council, Preston Heights Neighborhood Council, Ridgeview Subdivision Association, Bishop Stephen Evan and the Leap of Faith Ministries, Wendell Martin and the Missionary Baptist Church, Will County Farm Bureau, Will South Cook Soil and Water Conservation District. Thank you for letting me get the list onto the record. This is just who has written a public letter of opposition, but there are thousands of residents who are not listed here who oppose this project. North Point is not a good community partner. If they were, then these groups above would be on their side. They're an out-of-state business with foreign investors looking to destroy vital farmland to make a profit. There's a shift in dynamics in America happening in the wake of this pandemic, and North Point knows it. People are realizing that farmland is crucial to sustaining our population when our reliance of foreign goods is closed down. America wants to bring manufacturing back home and cut out China and their goods from coming throughout our borders. In essence, making Compass Business Park futile. They were right a few months ago when they said that the click and purchase of overseas goods is on the rise. Needs more supply to meet demand. But that has not only slowed, but fallen dead in the water due to COVID-19. Their investors are scared, and they want you to push through to themselves for financial failure. If this shift continues, which it seems like it will, the need for foreign goods is going to go away, and we will have a 1,200-acre concrete block sitting there forever as a reminder of the terrible decisions made by the city council in 2020. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We have the next caller.
Can you state your name, address, and make your comment, please? Hello?
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Hello? Yes, hello. My name is Erica Altz. My address is 25347 Band Street in Manhattan. My husband, 3 children, and I reside in Manhattan. I am opposed to this annexation, and I am opposed to North Point. My youngest is 2 years old. She is respiratory sensitive, and her future elementary school sits half a mile away from this monstrosity, which would subject her young lungs to an obscene amount of particulate matter from the truck traffic as the school is downwind. My stepson will start driving in 3 years, and the idea that his neighborhood roads would be some of the most dangerous roads in North America because they would be oversaturated with freight vehicles will leave any parent on edge. Many warehouses sit vacant. There is current vacant space within the Center Point footprint to accommodate any future land needs within the intermodal sector. There is no need for this space. Decades of taxpayer funds went to rehabilitate the Joliet Arsenal into the Abraham Lincoln National Cemetery and the Medea National Tallgrass Prairie. North Point would destroy the hard work that was done by your predecessors to connect us to our past. Furthermore, there is a current traffic study going on right now to help you all make better planning decisions. A project of this magnitude should consult the results of that study before forging ahead. There is nothing to be gained for the surrounding community, for your constituents, by railroading this right now. And lastly, as a government employee for the past 15 years who has participated on your side of the line when it comes to a meeting like this, it is appalling that you would skirt common sense in holding this meeting and this vote tonight. We public servants struggle every year to convince citizens from all walks of life that they have a voice, that the community is to be shaped by their voice, and with transparency from all layers of government, they can have trust in the work that is done on their behalf. Your actions this evening have set us all back, and I am disgusted to call you fellow public servants. I hope you all vote no. That is all for my comments. Thank you, and good night.
Thank you.
Next caller.
Can you state your name, address, and make your comment, please?
Nick Rudiger, Jackson Township. Residents of Jackson Township have been fighting this since 2017. Since then, we have had thousands of Will County residents join us in saying enough is enough. When does it end? When this proposal was in Elwood, their excuse was, we need to do this or Joliet will take it. Mayor Odekirk went on the radio numerous times denying this claim, whining about Joliet getting dragged into this conversation and even saying that the area does not have the infrastructure to support this project. Fast forward to June 2019. The mayor signed a letter to Governor Pritzker in support of North Point's bridge. This bridge only serves one purpose, Compass Business Park. Anyone that claims that this bridge would do anything to alleviate current traffic is not informed enough to decide the fate of this project. Was your plan to send all the current traffic into a farm field? Because that's exactly what this bridge would do if it didn't include Compass Business Park. Or was it that you've been working with North Point on this plan since before your legally binding boundary agreement with Elwood expired? You know, the boundary agreement you couldn't discuss extending due to a comprehensive plan Joliet is investing in. How will approving this project affect this comprehensive plan? How will it affect the Will County traffic study? It will waste taxpayer dollars. That's how. If Joliet was not working on this project prior to 2020, which is almost impossible to believe, I mean, let's remember, even Mayor Odekirk indicated that he believed that the Mudron 5 was working behind the scenes with North Point in emails obtained via FOIA. But if Joliet was not working on this prior to 2020, then the city clearly has not done due diligence on a project of this magnitude, considering it was before planning and zoning 6 weeks later. You can't have it both ways. Either you broke the boundary agreement or you've done a haphazard job rushing this. We told you in November that 103 acres was not standalone, that it was a gateway to what's before us tonight. You said we were wrong. North Point said we were wrong. Yet it's April, and they still do not even own the 103 acres. So, either you lied to us or North Point lied to you. If it's the latter, then the question is, why would you bend over backwards to entertain an open-ended agreement like this with such a shady company? Terry Morris, you have constituents that have told you they do not want this. They elected you when in 2018, you said you support a moratorium on warehousing. If you value your name, reputation, and political career, you must vote no. In closing, I want to address the notion that another town will take this. I've heard Shanahan, Wilmington, and Manhattan as possibilities from 3 of the 9 people that will vote on this. Look at a map. This is impossible. Only 2 towns can possibly build this, you and Elwood. I say possibly because you don't have full continuity. Elwood has already said no, even though some claim they are to blame due to Centerpoint. The fact is, their current administration learned from past errors. Have you?
Thank you.
The next caller.
Can you state your name, address, and make your comment, please?
Doc Gregory, President of the Will County Building Trades Council, 2082 Oak Leaf Street, Joliet. I was born and raised in the city of Joliet. I'm here to speak tonight on behalf of our 25,000 members of the Will County Building Trades Council. The proposed Compass Business Park that would provide up to 1,600 union jobs. Construction jobs our members work at, very important to each and every building trades member. I'd like to take the city council and the mayor back in everybody's some past building trade projects that have went through in the city of Joliet. 1977, a development called Homart Development was building up land in unincorporated Joliet on the far northwest sector of unincorporated Joliet. Essington Road back then was just a gravel path. Then Joliet Mayor Maurice Berlinski appointed then City Councilman Bob Hacker to find out what was going on with the land acquisitions. Councilman Hacker met with residents who lived around the land that were fiercely against the annexation and building. After opposition from landowners, Plainfield and the city of Crest Hill, Joliet annexed in over 400 acres, which became the Louis Joliet Mall. In 1991, the unemployment rate was 15%. Many of the unemployed members were building trades members. At that point, a group of Joliet businessmen secured a gambling permit on the Des Plaines River. 7 businessmen purchased 55 acres of unincorporated land between Joliet and Shanahan. After the county, Will County, turned down the 7 businessmen for annexation, they looked to then Mayor Artie Schultz in the city of Joliet. Residents who lived around the proposed annexation were again fiercely against the annexation, but the city of Joliet welcomed the Empress River Casino with open arms. In 1996, a group of Will County businessmen purchased 250 acres from a well-known farming family. 9 businessmen looked again to then Mayor Artie Schultz again for annexation into the city of Joliet. While residents who lived around the proposal were fiercely against the annexation, the city voted to annex in the Route 66 drag strip. 2 years later, 1998, the city got the Chicagoland Speedway. The city of Joliet has always been a city of opportunity, the one I grew up in. Compass Business Park is a well thought out project that should be annexed into the city of Joliet. Will Grundy Building Trades supports the city of Joliet to vote yes to the proposed annexation with the Compass Business Park. Will Grundy Building Trades has entered into 2 separate PLA agreements, one for the initial build-out of the park construction, and then one for the ongoing maintenance and retrofitting or any rehabilitation of any building that changes its tenant, and that it will be done 100% union built. Will Grundy Building Trades has partnered with Compass Business Park owners to enter into 2 legally binding PLA agreements. At this point of the year, a lot of our out-of-work lists are full of unemployed members. Compass Business Park, 1,260 acres of proposed land, would be a great project that could kick off, that would employ many of our building trades members that need a job right now, and a lot of them live here in the city of Joliet. We need Compass Business Park, 1,260 acres, to start construction to put our members to work. We are not second-hand citizens, nor...
Next.
Thank you. Can you state your name, address, and make your comment, please? Hello?
Yeah, hello.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, yeah, hi. My name's Josh Wager. I'm with the Indiana, Illinois, Iowa Foundation for Fair Contracting. We are a nonprofit organization dedicated to the betterment of the construction industry. We celebrated our 20th anniversary last year. Before I make my comments, I'd just like to say thank you all for your service. This is a very difficult time to be an elected official in America. Everyone is making sacrifices. We know you all want to do the right thing. You want to make the right decision. So again, just thank you for your service. I just want to address the decision before you this evening. We all know that Will County, Illinois, is one of the fastest growing counties in America. Will County's location is priceless. We have seen population growth exploding, employment and economic growth exploding in Will County, and that growth is going to continue. Of course, we all know the largest inland port in the world. By any measure, Will County is a vital organ in the American economy, and principles of economics make one thing very clear, and that's that the vigorous economic and population growth of Will County is going to continue one way or another. But we can manage that growth, and we can make sure it's well planned and thoughtfully designed. And the North Point Compass Business Park project is a shining example of exactly that kind of growth. Now, before I came to the foundation, I spent some time as research director at the Illinois Department of Commerce, so I have some experience evaluating these kind of projects. We have a responsible master plan development, a smart design that's been driven by input from the community, the closed loop network that'll keep the trucks off the local roads, $1.5 billion investment, no TIF subsidies, tens of millions of dollars in tax revenue for the city, the county, schools districts, park districts, 1,600 construction jobs, 10,000 full-time jobs, a significant multiplier effect and ripple effect from those jobs. And those are good jobs with good pay, with lots of opportunities to make those jobs even better in the future as the global economy becomes more and more reliant on Will County, Illinois. Now, elected officials face difficult decisions. I know it. Sometimes you have to cast votes that some people don't like in order to yield a result that will benefit vast numbers of people. And that's what you're going to have to do in this case, I believe. You're the Joliet City Council. You're not the Manhattan Council or the Elwood Council. You're the Joliet City Council, and this project is in the best interest economically of Joliet and Will County, and I would bet my life on that, and you can bet your life on that. And the Indiana, Illinois, Iowa Foundation for Fair Contracting urges a yes vote to benefit vast numbers of people in the region. And with that, I'll say thank you for your time and best wishes to all of you as you continue your deliberations, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Next caller.
Can you state your name, address, and make your comment, please?
Hello, I'm Kristen Smith. I live in Manhattan. Thank you all for listening to me tonight during a global pandemic. I'm sure that is what we should be doing at this time. I've lived in Will County my entire life. I've moved into Manhattan in 2008 to start a family and raise my kids in an area that I felt was similar to New Lenox when I grew up there. Small but beautiful, with kids everywhere. And that is exactly what I've gotten. I live in White Feather subdivision right off of Route 52. I have twins that go to Wilson Creek and my oldest who attends Anna McDonald. I'm speaking to all of you today in hopes that you will say no to North Point. Please help preserve the town that we have grown to love. Also, I urge you to say no to North Point for the health and safety of my children and all the children in our communities. Having this Compass Park this close to our homes and schools will negatively affect our children's future in so many ways. I know some of you have drank North Point's Kool-Aid and you believe in their so-called closed loop system. I'm here to tell you that it will never work. Trucks will take the quickest route to get to and from the park, whether or not there are signs saying differently. Signs will not stop them. They will come down Lairway Road, Briggs Road, Route 52, Gouger, Manhattan-Monee Road, Route 45, Route 30, and so many more. Our roads cannot handle our current truck traffic. What makes you believe they can handle thousands of more trucks, not to mention thousands of employee cars per day? We do not have the infrastructure to support the size of this project. Another thing I cannot understand is how 9 people get to make a decision for 3 towns, 2 of which have already said no to North Point. 9 people get to destroy 3 towns and all of Will County and Jackson Township. For what? Greed? We as your residents elect our officials to be our voice. So why are you not listening? How many ways do we have to say no? Or at the very least, slow down. How are you able to pre-annex? I thought it was just annexing. Have you figured out the FFA property issue? My bet is no. Has the bridge been approved? No. So how can you approve a project before all these details and legal issues are resolved? I believe there's a lot of backdoor politics happening here. With that being said, I want you to think about this. Do you want your name attached to this project and a company like North Point? Do you want to look back in 5 years after our counties are ruined and say, I wish I would have listened? If you're intelligent and have any humanity, you will regret a yes vote. You will be remembered as a city council that didn't listen to neighboring communities, other elected officials, educational boards within those communities, and your tax-paying constituents, and single-handedly took down all of Will County and Jackson Township. Residents and taxpayers will move out of these communities, and you will be left with nothing but warehouse and trucks. Don't be ignorant and greedy. Think long-term, not just your term in office. Say no to North Point. Do your job. Be our voice. Be a good neighboring community. Please send North Point packing once and for all. The reason it has taken 4 years for them to get here now is because Manhattan and Elwood have already said no. North Point apparently doesn't know how to listen either. We don't want North Point. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next caller.
Can you state your name, address, and make your comment, please?
Yeah, this is Ed and Donna Janolish. Our residence is on Cherry Hill Road, and it will butt against the North Point warehouse area. Mr. Robinson must have drove right by my house and missed coming in and knocking on my door and asked me for my opinion. Anyway, we have been residents here for over 25 years. And yes, Mayor, we have seen it off. Center Point, Speedway, Audubon, etc. And I will address that later. Yesterday, I received an email from Mayor Bob O'Dikirk from a previous email I sent. I do appreciate you on replying to my request. It's too bad Mr. Steve Jones or Councilwoman Jan Helens Quillman didn't exhibit the same courtesy. Mayor expressed a strong case summarizing North Point's investment to Joliet as being $1 billion. This was broken down to $6 million from North Point cash as warehouses are built, expanding over 20 years. This is like $300,000 annually. Now, this is not as significant based on the complexity of the project. Something's amiss here. Mayor, you also went to much rhetoric about the increased employment this will bring and emphasize union jobs. To say no to North Point has continually rebuked this claim in support with Warehouse for Justice workers, noting that North Point has a dismal record in Kansas City of adhering to their commitment to hiring union workers and their own admission that their owners of these warehouses will not have to abide to any union hiring agreements and may hire non-union workers at a very low pay. Mayor, you also stated when fully built, our warehouse built will be 1.7 million property taxes. However, this is not free money. It will need to be used to maintain 5 square miles of densely populated roads and thousands of semi-loads between 60 and 80,000 pounds. Trucks traveling on these roads that Joliet will need to repair and maintain snow plows and service for lighting and drainage. In addition, police and fire services will need to be increased, potentially probably requiring a fire station built. There goes some of the $6 million. You have empathy stated the project will not be implemented unless it, in your words, quote, will require to build a bridge over 53 directly into Center Point. The city of Joliet has made it clear that no building permits will be issued without the construction of this bridge. Why isn't the project placed on hold so the details of the budget statement are clarified and all approvals given? Mayor, you are banking that the bridge contest will be successful. However, this has been proven, and there's currently a study in Will County with some Joliet funding to study the overall impact of trucks within the entire community. This study will complete by early summer. What is the rush of approving this before approving it? The most disturbing part of your response, Mayor, was concerning the fact that us and many of my neighbors will be impacted by this project. I stated I am asking you how I can guarantee my water well will not run dry. You should be aware of the water problem in Joliet. If a deep well is dug in proximity to my home and my water is gone, my home value and my life is ruined. You need to help me and my family. Your response was, I understand that the project does negatively affect some people, but from my perspective, nearly every single development does. So what you're stating is help with me and my neighbors? Our lives, our investments gone away for progress? In your response to me, you reference yourself as a responsible government leader. Is this your idea of responsible government leader? Mayor, take another look at what you are saying.
Yeah, next caller.
Can you state your name and your address and make your comments, please?
My name is Kenneth Kenny Hippie. I live in Wood County. I'm opposed to North Point. We have Kenny Hippie. My name is Kenneth. I live in Wood County. I'm poor opposed of North Point. We have Center Point, the largest in the U.S. We have too many trucks. You can't cross 53. Opposed North Point. We have Center Point. Largest import in the U.S. We can't cross 53 their way. Too many potholes on I-Con Route 56, on bridge at these roads, gas station, Bridge and 80. Can you guys repeat it? Too many. Route 56. I am at these and too many. We can't shop in Joliet ever again. To go through. And get rid of Steve Jones too. Thank you, Mayor Bob Overkirk. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Next caller.
Name, address, and comment, please.
My name is Michelle Smolowitz, and I reside on West Manhattan Road. I have many concerns with the proposed project, and unfortunately, not enough time allotted to address them all. I'm asking you to vote no tonight. I'm urging you to please put the safety and well-being of your constituents, your neighbors, and future generations ahead of political campaign contributions, corporate greed, and the financial gain of a few in Missouri. We've heard for years it's coming. North Point is coming no matter what you do, but that's simply not true. That's not how this system works. Compass Business Park doesn't have to come here. You can say no. This is the great power we've given you as our representatives. You can just say no. You have the power to stop this monstrosity in its tracks. And with that power vested in you comes an even greater responsibility to govern this city with integrity and do what is right. This scheme to force this project vote through under the cover of a pandemic by perverting the governor's intentions without taking the time to at least look the public in the eye as they plead their case is shameful. It's disrespectful to your voters, many of whom do not have access or the ability to navigate all these electronic hoops you have forced us to jump through. There is a reason so many are crying foul. North Point's Compass Business Park is not the answer to your financial woes. $6 million is a little more than 1 month's operating cost for the city, as we found out on Wednesday. A drop in the bucket. According to the mayor, it'll take 20 years to get that. You can't have 20 years of union jobs without 20 years to full build out. Rushing this vote through just doesn't make sense. Why throw away the safety, security, and way of life for so many for 1 month's operating costs? We're surrounded by 4 of the most dangerous roads in Illinois, and to haphazardly throw a city-sized industrial development in the middle of farm towns with crumbling infrastructure is pure negligence on your part. I'm speaking to you from experience. Living in the shadow of Center Point is a struggle already. The streets most affected by the overflow of warehouse traffic are residential roads. Our children wait for school buses, ride their bikes, and walk with friends on these roads. My children's school bus has been passed by container trucks, as well as warehouse workers speeding by. We've even had a truck lose control and flip over into the yard just 50 feet from where the kids catch the bus. I live on a 5-ton road. Trucks shouldn't be there at all, but that doesn't stop hundreds a day from sneaking through. Errant trucks have destroyed my property. This type of development adds more unskilled drivers to the already congested roads. These drivers don't care about signage. Policing these roads isn't that easy. The sheriff's police have told the residents that they won't enforce the weight restriction because they fear litigation. It's not just the container trucks that I have a problem with. More often than not, these workers are temporary workers. They have no vested interest in our community. They don't live here. 75% or more are traveling more than 30 minutes to get here. These workers are speeding down our residential streets, sporting their signature vests. They've thrown cigarettes, garbage, and urine-filled bottles at my children as they wait for the bus. Too often they blow past the stopped school bus, putting their lives in real danger. The local general store is overrun by warehouse employees who often steal items rather than wait in the line to pay. And the local gas stations have had to be patrolled by the police at shift changes at times. We moved south of the city to enjoy a slower pace of life. We live in a town with not a single stoplight. We wanted to increase our quality of life, but unfortunately, the only thing we see going up is air pollution, theft, and our car insurance premiums, as we carefully watch our housing values plummet along with school enrollment. By voting yes, You're opening up this city to years of litigation. Please vote no.
Next caller.
Name, address, and comment, please.
Yes, Natalie Martinez from Manhattan.
Go ahead,
I
ma'am.
would like to start with the opposition of North Point. I would like to start with the opposition of North Point does not live in just Manhattan or Elwood. They do live in Joliet. Listen to your constituents. I'm pretty sure if you're counting, the amount of opponents to this project highly outweigh their proponents. The numbers tonight speak them for themselves. Economic growth is good as long as all communities prosper from it. I'm sure all of your union workers would agree with that. This project is too large for the area and will destroy Will County. The tax revenue that you talk about that Joliet will benefit from will just go back into maintaining infrastructure, fire, police, etc. This will not generate the type of revenue Joliet gets to keep to pass down the city services and their residents. Jobs. Warehouse jobs are temporary positions, and rarely do these employees get any type of benefits from their employment. They are not high-paying jobs that can support families, medium salaries, little over $28,000, who can live on that. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. There is so much potential revenue in Joliet that already exists. Centerpoint is already established and producing. They are not at capacity. Build them out. Use them to their potential. There's downtown Joliet, other existing warehouses, Chicagoland Speedway, and casinos. Listen to the facts, listen to your neighbors, but most important, listen to your Joliet constituents. If there is any doubt in your mind on which way you should vote, do the right thing and vote no. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Next caller.
Name, address, and comment, please.
Yes, is it my turn now?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello? Yeah. My name is Julia Baum Coldwater. I am 67 years old, and I'm speaking on behalf of me and my husband, Larry Coldwater, who is 69 years old. We reside at 26737 South Coldwater Road in Elwood, Illinois. Please know that preparing this testimony has been very difficult because I could not foresee how to present certain facts and issues based on the format that we're being dealt with. But thank you for the opportunity to speak anyway. My testimony contains unique information and facts directly related to the negative impact a proposed project would have on us personally and on our land and our business. Because our land is directly contiguous with the project footprint, we hold standing in this hearing, have substantive testimony, and thus we are requesting an extension beyond the 4-minute limit to testify. We are the owners and operators of Coldwater Seed Farm, LLC, located at 26845 South Coldwater Road in unincorporated Jackson Township. This is a 4-generation seed farm business serving farmers in Will and surrounding counties since the early 1920s. It is a business that is part of a 7-generation continuous farming operation that was established in 1858. Also, many in the Joliet community will remember our Coldwater sweet corn and melon business, started by Aaron Coldwater in the 1920s and operating until 2005. We are landowners who will be directly and negatively impacted by this project. We will face loss of land, damage to land, loss of access to land, damage to our business operation dependent on that land, potentially cutting our business operation in half, and thus loss of income. We also will face the most certain loss of at least one historically supportive farmstead and are at risk of losing a second historic farmstead, this one designated historically significant and eligible for landmark status. With loss of those farmsteads, we will lose use of all buildings on those farmsteads. In order to clarify my verbal testimony, I had hoped
to provide a map exhibiting the size and location of our farm in relation to Compass Business Park footprint. And I request that the map be entered into the public record along with my comments. I need to know if the hearing format can make that possible.
Marty?
Is that possible?
Mayor, I just want, if we could stop the timer a second. Ms. Baskerville did send an email at 5:57 p.m. with a visual aid, so I will be sending out a new batch.
And that'll become part of the record?
Yes.
Okay. All right, ma'am, go ahead. We'll start the clock again. Go ahead.
So would I just send it? Okay. My understanding is you'll provide the address so I can do that. We are owners of 540 acres of contiguous farmland in Jackson Township in sections 21 and 28, and that is the heart of our family farm. Our farm footprint is almost half the size of the footprint of North Point that they seek to annex into Joliet. Approximately 132 acres of our farmland is in the east half of the southwest quarter and the west half of the southeast quarter of section 21 along the north side of Mississippi Road. That land also is bordered by Route 53 to the north and Peel Road to the west. The remaining acreage is found in Jackson Township Section 28. This includes the full southwest quarter, the east half of the northwest quarter, and the full northeast quarter of that section, all on the south side of Mississippi Road. That land also is bordered by Hoff Road and Medallion Tallgrass Prairie to the south, Coldwater Road to the west, and Chicago Road to the east. The entire farm sits between Hoff Road and Illinois 53 going south to north, and Coldwater Road and Chicago Road going west to east. Mississippi Road cuts through east to west right through our farm. Despite what is on Elwood's planning map, this farm is in unincorporated Jackson Township. It is zoned agricultural. It has been farmed for 160 years.
Next call.
And Mayor, as a reminder, if anybody wants to, 4 minutes is not enough. If they send to public comment, I will make them part of the record and send them out to council.
Okay, and I think your recommendation should be if we make an exception for one, we're going to have to make it for everybody?
Yes, correct.
Okay, thank you.
But we did receive her comments. The presentation, it will be sent out to council, probably tomorrow morning.
And she was asking for the address where to send them to?
We already got it. It's
Okay.
public, I just sent her a response. It's publiccomment@joliet.gov.
Okay. All right, for the next caller, name, address, and make your comment, please.
My name is Megan Cooper, and I'm a lifelong resident of the South Side of Joliet. I am also a founding member of the South Side Initiative. I, along with other Joliet residents, felt the imperative need to unite and become the voice for the residents that the city of Joliet has determined. We do not matter. With your actions and blatant disregard for our safety and quality of life. I'm speaking today, and I'm here to tell you we do matter. And we deserve the same diverse and economic development that you have employed on the west side of town. It is time for Joliet to protect our constitutional right for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for all its residents and immediately stop sacrificing the South Side. We matter. There has been an staggering increase in industrial warehouse development across the South Side over the last few years. Traffic and public safety conditions in the area have drastically deteriorated and constantly worsening. North Point expects to draw an additional 5,000 trucks and states that these trucks will enter and exit their Compass Business Park through a closed-loop design. If this was true, there would not be a need in an annexation agreement that allows for them to open up this closed-loop design during peak hours at their discretion, which means more trucks onto our local roads, not to mention the routes that employees would take to get to work will also be our local roads. You have already made the dumping ground for Centerpoint, which is only 60% built and has created unsafe road conditions for our area. The dumping ground below truck stop on Briggs and I-80, which is projected to draw 600 trucks and 2,000 cars daily. The dumping ground for a truck terminal on Briggs Street and Laraway Road.
Now today, you're holding a vote on a massive North Point development that you also want to dump on the south side of Joliet. Not to mention the smaller warehouse developments that are coming down the pipeline. We will not be your dumping ground. The south side of Joliet deserves and demands diverse economic development throughout all of Joliet. Diverse economic development that enriches the quality of lives of our community and creates tax revenue for the city. We should take note from Lamont with their adventure park and also Romeoville with their Ovation Center for seniors. The city of Joliet, we challenge you to think outside the box. Think outside of industrial development. We, the residents of Joliet, need and deserve fresh ideas and should have representation offices that can provide this. If you approve North Point, your actions will destroy the south side of Joliet and forever damage the quality of life for the residents on this side of town. In the words of Warren Buffett, price is what you pay, quality is what you get. Speaking as a south side resident, you, the city of Joliet City Council, if you vote yes to North Point, you will immorally and unfairly have sold the quality of life for the south side residents. We matter too. City council members, if you vote yes to North Point and you campaign on supporting a moratorium on warehouses, we are calling for your immediate resignation following this vote. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Next caller.
Can you state your name, address, and make your comment, please?
Yes, my name is Mary Baskerville. I'm from Manhattan. I'm glad to speak tonight for myself and as a member of the Will County Environmental Network, a grassroots organization founded in 1981. I ask the council to vote no to a project that is not ready for approval. The Route 53 bridge has been called a critical component by the council members who have spoken in favor of the project. However, approval is far from certain, and in fact, the required hearing before the Illinois Commerce Commission has yet to be scheduled. Additionally, approval should not come before the connectivity is established, and the Federal Aviation Administration has not yet petitioned the city for annexation. Most importantly, the negative impact will hurt the entire region. Joliet residents will feel the impact whenever they travel Route 80, 55, 355, or the regional roads. 6,000 additional trucks daily on the roads is a huge impact on the infrastructure that is already overburdened. North Point will only exacerbate an overburdened infrastructure and add to the drawdown of an already critically short water supply. A better vision for Joliet will see expansion of local opportunities, including manufacturing and tourism, but one that also works towards building a more livable community. Joliet's first and most important resource is its people. A better vision will keep Joliet both the crossroads of mid-America and a place people love to call home. As a young girl, I took pride in being from Joliet and working with the Tricentennial Committee to commemorate the exploration by Louis Joliet and Father Marquette. I worked on the committee that created the Bicentennial Park. We worked to create an opportunity for the future that also worked to protect and defend the natural beauty the voyagers described way back in 1673. A no vote today means that you could also see a better vision for Joliet. Be brave. Vote for a future that is better than just too many semi-trucks and too many cargo containers. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next caller.
Name, address, and comment, please.
Hi, good evening. My name is Becky Kemp Robbins, and I'm a Jackson Township resident.
I believe Bruce, who was one of your first ones that lives at West Acres in Joliet, kind of stole what I was going to say, but I'll go ahead and kind of say what it anyway. So Joliet has long been known to me as the city of champions, and I've always agreed with that. I love Joliet, the history, the people, the fun. I'm a proud 1996 graduate of Joliet Catholic, and we are looking forward to our daughter being in the Joliet Catholic class of 2035. What you are voting on tonight will change your legacy forever, from being known as the city of champions to the city of warehouses. Joliet has so much good. Yeah, there's problems, but every city has them. You need to focus on building upon the good and continuing to problem solve those other issues. Building upwards of 3,000 acres of warehouses will only exacerbate current problems. And before you say it will bring in more union jobs, I'm union. My husband's union. We come from a union family. I am all for union jobs, but I'm also for long-term, well-paying jobs. There will be short-term benefits for some unions, but once a warehouse is put up, those union jobs dry up. We love Joliet. We regularly attend your city center events, your Rialto shows, Joliet Catholic events, athletic events, your park district events and programs, your golf courses, and several fundraising events throughout Joliet. We love eating at Chicago Street, Al, Sarah Brothers, Fruit, and of course, hey, hot dogs. And we look forward to doing this for many, many years to come. But Joliet will not be the same if you move forward with this. Keep your city the city of champions, please, and say no to North Point. We don't want to see this city that I love turned to crap by a yes vote. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Next caller.
Hello, can you state your name, address, and make your comment, please?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Katie Favor. Hello.
Yes, go ahead, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, go.
Okay. I am Katie Favor, and I'm a Manhattan Township resident, asking you to vote no to North Point. I am speaking to you today completely disappointed that we are still having to fight corporate greed from devastating our area. I'm also sick of hearing so-called facts that indeed are just rhetoric and propaganda. There are no facts to support this project, just a lot of donations. I understand that the upfront money has blinded many, and North Point is being sold as the thing that will save Joliet's economy. Yet all the financial numbers being provided are at full build-out, which according to the mayor is 20 years away. So what are the actual numbers you will see in the near future? With foreign trade and enterprise zones, you know, those non-tax abatements taking away from Joliet's cut, will that be enough to save Joliet's economy? The truthful answer there is no. Due to the cost for all the needed safety personnel, the situations and vehicles that go with it, the infrastructure updates and the miles needed to get to the interstate, the many litigations that will occur from this project, and loss of sales tax revenue generated from your southern neighbors. Have you compared this deal to Centerpoint? Why is North Point offering so much less? Today we will see if you are blinded by greed, because money cannot fix the environment once destroyed. 1/2 mile will not keep Medallion safe from the pollution, and this will contribute to the destruction of a flourishing national prairie and its herd of bison. 1 mile will not protect the young children who attend Wilson Creek Elementary School. One small, very open mile that, even with all the landscaping that is being promised, cannot be protected from the particle pollutants that will cover their playgrounds and destroy their air, therefore causing a rise in respiratory and other medical issues. At a previous council meeting, Tom George said that they would be able to store anything except for radioactive materials. Are you really okay with toxic material that close to children? Will you choose to add to the destruction of the environment while possibly harming young kids? As a union household, I am so sick of hearing that this is about jobs. North Point has not been union friendly. The agreement even clearly states the union jobs are only part of the development, not the maintenance. This means that the majority of these jobs will be warehouse jobs that will not help boost local economies because the insultingly low wages do not generate disposable income. If you want to create jobs, focus on fixing the crumbling infrastructure and bringing manufacturing back to the U.S. Speaking of infrastructure, how could you in good conscience add to the already overburdened system? I know the fast answer to this is the closed loop bridge. The closed loop bridge, which has an alternate route, therefore not making it closed at all. Where the land is already annexed by another municipality, which will somehow magically make fewer trucks on our highways with an addition of 5,300 trucks. I can't even begin to process how that math works because it doesn't. Trucks cannot fly to this bridge, so an addition of trucks does not make fewer, ever, because you cannot modify the principles of math to match your narrative. During this pandemic, have you noticed that our current dependence on foreign goods is literally killing Americans? Many people are seeing the importance of bringing manufacturing to the U.S., and yet today we are here fighting more of the same. Greed of an out-of-state company that is mostly foreign invested, bringing in foreign products while devastating fertile and flourishing land of an active farm. Please remember that we can't drink money when the local wells are poisoned and aquifers run dry. We can't breathe money when the air quality is polluted. We can't eat money when fertile land is blighted. It is obvious that we are fighting corporate greed and pay-to-play politics. It is disgusting and inexcusable that for a very cheap price, you are willing to decimate the people of Manhattan, Elwood, and the townships. I understand that you believe we are just outsiders whose opinions don't matter, even though we are the ones who will be impacted. But I would like to remind you that you are the current outsiders coming in to try to annex land that at this point you cannot legally do. Your vote will speak volumes about your character and ethics. Please do what you are supposed to as an elected official who works for the people.
Next caller.
Thank you. Can you state your name, address, and make your comment, please? Hello? Name, address, and comment, please?
Okay, it's very difficult to know. We're hearing the speakers through the phone.
Okay.
Yeah, we're hearing the speakers through the phone, so we have no idea when it's our turn. It's really difficult. So my name is Christina Samet, and I live in Jackson Township, and I'm opposed to North Point. I'd like to make a rebuttal to the comment that was made by CEO Nathaniel Hagedorn earlier today. He specifically said that North Point is not a bait and switch, which was just such a great expression because that's really actually clarifies exactly what was bothering me about this concept of a pre-annexation agreement. There is no real definition of pre-annexation agreement in the ordinances of Joliet. I read through them pretty thoroughly. And so it's left a lot of us baffled as to what the meaning of pre-annexation agreement is, because what it looks like is an annexation agreement with absolutely no details. So if you compare it to, for instance, what was given to Elwood, which was a full annexation agreement with buildings, roads, water treatment, water sourcing, which roads need to be widened, which roads need to have additional lanes, signal changes, and the bridge over Route 53, what you find in that annexation agreement is very specific references to tax abatement, to TIF, to enterprise zone, and to things called shared success strategy. These are absent in the current pre-annexation proposal, and that is what allows North Point to claim right now that they have no tax abatement requirement, because there's actually no infrastructure specifically detailed out in this pre-annexation agreement. So it's very easy to say we don't all need to help North Point build their park when they haven't been forced to define what exactly their park is going to require. North Point is not a charity. They are not a not-for-profit. They have never and will never actually do any type of community investment that isn't directly to their benefit and to their profit, and why should they? I actually don't really claim that they should. And so it's easy for them to bait and switch right now by saying everything is for free. Now you might argue, well, this is stuff we need anyway, so let's say in the future we abate taxes, but they're going to build roads for us, so they're going to build us a bridge. Okay, this is what I really want to emphasize here, and I'm not trying to be patronizing. North Point has absolutely nothing to do with the Hobart Bridge. They're not paying for it, and they're not contributing to it. The Hobart Bridge will actually alleviate some existing traffic situations in our communities and is valuable to everybody. But that's not what they're going to pay for. They're not going to be contributing to that. The bridge that they're building over Route 53 in the location of Walter Strong Drive is exclusive to the closed truck network. It is only accessible to North Point and North Point's clients in these warehouses. So this is not an infrastructure improvement that we need right now when North Point doesn't exist. All of the things that they are proposing benefit only their profits. They don't actually alleviate existing road conditions and traffic conditions that we have in our area. So even if, for instance, they do some infrastructure improvements and they do it through tax abatement, it's not actually going to improve our community or contribute anything of value to us. And so basically, they're riding off the backs of the citizens. And that is essentially a TIF structure that is a tax abatement structure. And Tom George specifically refers to that in his comments in the 103-acre council meeting. He said, in the future, should we build infrastructure that benefits others, we expect there to be a shared cost. And that's what he calls a recapture agreement or whatever. So that's really important to emphasize. And my final comment is this should be a planned unit development. It was in Elwood. The entire thing should be a planned unit development, and that's a failure on their part in this submission. And also, if we really need these warehouses, why does Centerpoint have 2,000 acres available right now for warehouse build out? Really, Joliet has to ask, why are these warehouses not being built today in an existing place where if they can contribute this valuable tax dollars, it would already be available? And that's the reason is that there's not the client and there's not the drive that North Point claims there is. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next caller.
This is Mayor Odeker. Can you state your name, address, and make your comment, please?
This is Trisha Ma. I am a resident of Elwood. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Okay. I agree with others who are opposing North Point Compass Business Park. As I mentioned before in previous public meetings, North Point's project still fails the Will County Friendly Freight Mobility Plan. It doesn't check all the boxes, and I don't know how the CEO addressed all 53. There's no evidence of it. It would have been nice if he was able to do that. And the county already warned the public how important it is that Compass Business Park should not be approved at this time. In addition, a couple members of council, Joliet City Council, attended a Joliet press conference where Joliet pastors and others spoke against the project and other future warehouse developments. Therefore, you saw several, not a couple, several Joliet residents who specifically opposed North Point's Eastgate Compass Business Park. For those of you who don't know, North Point pulled out of building in a town where there were about 20 residents opposing their project. Why is this project that is before you today considered any different? I am 100% sure there are way more than 20 people that oppose this specific development. During one of North Point's informational meetings at Stone City, I asked North Point representatives if he has ever had this much resistance for a project. The answer was a simple no. What does that tell you? Definition of bullying is scaring or controlling another person by using threats or physical force. Sound familiar? When you put a development inside town in which there are residents against the project, you are being a bully. When your roadways go through a different town than the city you annexed into, that's another example of being a bully. When you know that a project's overwhelming traffic will be spilled, dumped into a town which lacks support for your project, it's another example. When you buy land which is specifically zoned for agriculture or residential use, and the new owner wants to rezone it to industrial, the new owner is being a bully to the surrounding farmers and the residents. When you ask one city to annex land from a township in which that same township opposed such development, that is also being a bully. When you file a lawsuit against a village so that you can attempt to build a bridge, and that said village has clearly already upheld its end of the contract, that is being a bully. Requesting that this vote be done before the end of April during a pandemic when residents are under the order of shelter in place because the developer's land contracts are about to expire, that's being a bully like no other. I know Patrick Robinson, Ian, and Tom, I know that they have kids, at least most of them do. Do you think they should ask themselves, if they would allow their child to be bullied, would they allow their child to be the bully? If so, do you think they would be proud that their child was the bully? Have any of your kids been a victim of bullying? Do you know that our school system has a zero tolerance for bullying? Why should the city of Joliet tolerate or attempt to do business with a developer who is a bully? Joliet, do you want a big bully in your city? My guess would be no. So I ask that you vote no for this annexation request. I have additional comments. I know that I've
Next caller.
It's Mayor Odekirk. Can you state your name, address, and make your comment, please?
Yeah, hi, I'm Tony Gregorich. I live on Bicentennial Drive in unincorporated Elwood, and I'm right off a ridge in Manhattan Road. I am completely opposed to this project. It will be right in our backyard. As it is right now, I have 2 teenage drivers, and when they're going to school, have to leave the back way. They can't even go down Manhattan Road and 53, not just because of all the traffic, but because the traffic makes them late for school. It's a danger. They've been nearly run off the road numerous times by semis. I just don't feel that this is something our community needs at this time. You're putting this right in the heart of where people move out to be, where it's quiet. We moved out here in 2012. We happen to like it quiet. We happen to like the roads peaceful, where the kids can enjoy riding their bikes, that sort of thing. Farmland around. Those that are making the decisions for this, shame on you for making a decision when you don't even live near where it's going to be. So I would hope that you guys would do what's right and vote no to North Point. Thank you.
Thank you.
You have a next caller.
It's Mayor Odekirk. Can you state your name, address, and make a comment, please?
Tim Shanahan, Manhattan Township.
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Shanahan.
Okay, I'd like to go on record as being totally opposed to the Compass Business Park. First off, I don't think it was a good idea to have the city council people fly down to North Point, Edgerton on their North Point's private jet. It just doesn't look good.
That didn't happen, sir. Mr. Shanahan, that never happened. We did not fly on the private jet, and I want that specifically known. The reporters went on the private jet, just for the record. So let's get the facts straight, please.
Okay, thank you. I stand corrected. My opposition to the project has nothing to do against unions. My family supported unions for many, many years. I retired from the company who employed union teamsters. My dad was a member of the Ornamental Iron Workers Local 63. My brother Terry, if he was still working, he'd be out on these projects. Member of Cement Nation Local 161. Brother Jerry's a union carpenter 174. My brother Bob was a member of the Brotherhood of Railroad Signalmen 183. So we're a union family. This certainly isn't anything against the unions. It's something against this project. The reason I'm opposed to the project are probably many of the same reasons the following organizations are also against it. And at the risk of being repetitive, I'm going to read them anyway. The Abraham Lincoln National Cemetery, the Will County Sheriff's Department Deputies FOP Labor Union, Joliet Stone City VFW Post, most of the military people. Here, I believe, are some Joliet folks. Cunningham Neighborhood Council, Preston Heights Neighborhood Council. I'm not sure where Ridgeview Subdivision Association is located. But American Legion, the VFW, Will County Farm Bureau, Bishop Stephen Evans and the Leap of Faith Ministries, the Daywin Alliance, they're going to be severely affected. The Openlanders, Warehouse Workers for Justice, Manhattan School District, the Village of Elwood, Jackson Township, Manhattan Township, Elwood Fire Protection. This is some kind of interesting. Elwood Consolidated School District and Laraway Community Consolidated School District, both are listed in Centerpoint's Herald News big ad of receiving $11.4 million in tax money, and they're against it. Jackson Township is listed to get $590,000 in tax money from this project, and they're against it. But the reason I'm mainly against it is for the increase in traffic, both cars and trucks. One traffic study added an additional 16,000 trucks, and I've heard that number vary from 6,000 to 10,000. The information I have is 16,000 trucks resulted in 53,000 trips per day, but that doesn't take into consideration the thousands of additional cars driven by workers. Addressing the closed loop, I think there's a lot of misconceptions on the closed loop. One of the previous North Point people had made the comment there's going to be reduced traffic overall. Well, that closed loop, that road on the Humboldt Road Bridge dumps those trucks out onto I-80. Where are they going to go from there? They're either going to go east and block traffic that way, or go west and block it on I-55. But right now, our roads are overloaded with truck traffic. You know, I-80, I-55, Route 53, Route 52, Route 6, and Bridge Street. You know, when these roads are congested or stopped, you know, the traffic then gets diverted to Route 30, Route 59, West Jefferson, and many other roads will pick up the excess vehicles, you know, resulting in congestion in the entire area. We see that now. You know, make no mistake, this isn't just a problem for Elwood, Manhattan. There's a problem for Joliet and all of Will County. So State Representative Larry Walsh Jr. and State Senator Pat McGuire were instrumental in obtaining state funds for infrastructure repair, replacing the I-80 bridge, which is in dire need.
Next caller.
Ms. Mayor Odeker, can you state your name, address, and make your comment, please?
Yes, my name is Kathleen Bernhard. I've had 4 recent graduates of Joliet Central. Number 4 graduated last June. I love Joliet Central, but it's been such a relief not to have to drive to it 3 times a week for activities and awards and whatnot this past year. It is terrifying driving on 53, especially under the train viaduct south of 80, where you have to try to dodge the unfixable potholes while avoiding the semis in a line on one side and the cement wall on the other. This is before any new warehousing is added. North Point will not decrease traffic in this area, and anyone who thinks it will is not thinking clearly. North Point will add to the traffic in this area, as I assume there will be employees working there who will be on these roads, including I-80, I-55, Blairway, 52, 53, Manhattan Road, Briggs Street, Gauger, and many more. I can't imagine what adding nearly 1,300 more acres of warehousing will be like for my youngest to have to get to school. I always figured he would follow in his older siblings' footsteps and attend Joliet Central, but his life is worth more than any school. Shouldn't all of our kids' lives be worth more than anything North Point can give you? Between adding more air pollution and traffic, taking longer to get to and from school, and my daughter missed countless chemistry honors classes because the bus was always late, you would condemn the future generation that we should be trying to protect. They are the ones who will take care of us in the future. Shouldn't we be doing everything we can to take care of them right now? Also, I've read in chats that a lot of people are thinking the Humboldt Bridge is the bridge that North Point is required to build. That is not the case. North Point is required to build a bridge over Route 53, right next to the Abraham Lincoln National Cemetery, so they are able to get to BNSF. Nowhere near the Humboldt Bridge. The ferry bridge that is required by North Point to alleviate traffic is in Elwood, not Joliet. The roads that lead to the Magical Bridge, Mississippi, Coldwater, and Walter Strong, are in Elwood, not Joliet. You can't annex land that is already annexed. Speaking of annexation, your proposal can't be on the 1,260 acres because the majority of those acres would be illegally annexed. Corner-to-corner annexing is illegal. This whole project should be shut down immediately. North Point cannot get to BNSF without going through Elwood, and Elwood said no. Be a good neighbor and say no as well. Stop your greedy land grabbing and keep Joliet in Joliet. Let's not destroy the health of our children who will be living near this monstrosity. The same children who will attend or do attend Joliet Central High School. Let us enjoy our 3 area national treasures, the Abraham Lincoln National Cemetery, Route 66, and the Daywin Tallgrass Prairie, without the disruption of semis going back and forth to the rail and added car traffic. Just say no to North Point, Compass Business Park, Eastgate, or whatever they want to call themselves. Stand up for the kids. Stand up for this area. Make Joliet a place people aren't afraid to drive near. Say no. Any member of the council who received donations from North Point should recuse themselves from voting. Any member of the council who stands to gain union contracts due to the project should recuse themselves from voting.
Thank you.
Next caller.
Ms. Mayor Odeker, can you state your name, address, and make your comment, please?
Hello, my name is Loris Burstad. I live at 740 Sugar Creek Drive. I'm a Joliet Township, Will County resident, and I've been a property owner and a real estate taxpayer for the last 39 years. I've spoken before at City Council and planning meetings concerning my quality of life living next door to the Joliet city limits, only to have my voice fall on deaf ears. My hope is that you will open your ears and hearts to my plea and not vote for this North Point annexation request until more information can be given to the public on how exactly this is going to affect the people who live nearby to it. I speak today only because I feel that my health and safety living in Sugar Creek Hills is being threatened, as it is now and has been ever since Center Point took off. My family and neighbors have stopped using the dangerous Chicago streets for access in and out of our subdivision. My 86-year-old mother has had to change her convenient primary physician at Oak Street Health because of that dangerous traffic on Chicago Street. Our local school had to move from Laraway Road at considerable cost to Rowell Avenue, which is now also illegal semi-truck traffic through. Our only other access, egress onto Manhattan Road, which is becoming an even more heavily traveled truck route. We are being trapped in a vice by the amount of this never-ending development of logistical facilities, truck stops, and warehouses. The amount of all this traffic, noise, and pollution is not being addressed before more is added to these already congested roadways. Why is this side of Joliet the garbage dump for all this type of excessive growth? Trucks are destroying our roadways. I drove today specifically on Chicago Street just to see how bad the potholes are. Have you? Blaming the state for not keeping this road maintained is just passing the buck, while the city keeps increasing traffic on it. When the Center Point development is completely built out, wouldn't then be the time to look at new areas? Whose lives matter less when it comes to clean air, our wells being depleted, having fields that are used to grow food turned into parking lots and warehouses? And where are the sidewalks and those fancy street lights that the West Side has, so all our residents can safely reach the new Park District facility at Knoll Park, or even a local grocery store, so that we don't have to cross that I-80 bridge that has serious structural issues that the mayor himself warned us about a year ago? Is this all because it affects a minority population that lives on this side of the river? Or is it because you just really don't care? I know you can't answer these questions, but I want this to be in the public record, that what you do here, it affects, even though we can't vote for you, we're still the public. And all of you on this council swore an oath to protect the public. I want to see Will County grow and prosper too. I beg you, wait on this North Point project until the Will County transportation study that I, as a taxpayer, helped fund is released. That the Hopewell Bridge is completed, and that this developer shows us that proposed access bridge built across Route 53. Be the heroes. I know you want to be remembered as, oh no, to North Point.
Next caller.
This is Mayor Odeker. Can you give your name, address, and your comment, please?
Hi, my name is Paul Botts, and I live in Chicago, and I visit Medewin very often because I work for the Wetlands Initiative, which is involved in Medewin. And what I want to tell you folks is that when I first joined the Wetlands Initiative about 9 years ago, I was a very rare bird in Chicago because I'd heard of Medewin. I'd been there. And at that time, I didn't have a single neighbor or friend in Chicago or the suburbs where I lived for a number of years who'd ever been to the place, ever heard of it. And that has so completely changed now. Last few years, I go to Medewin often for work, and I constantly meet now people from Chicago, the suburbs, Joliet, the rest of Will County. I know friends and neighbors here in Chicago that have been to it or that have it on the list. They stop, they stay lunch, they know all about it. It's a quantum leap. It's a miraculous change. And as a result of many things, a lot of people, a lot of local people have worked very hard for that. Medewin Prairie Alliance, the Heritage Association, It's also a result of millions and millions of dollars brought into Medallion from outside by groups like the Wetlands Initiative and the National Forest Foundation and the Forest Service and Open Lands and Nature Conservancy. And we're doing more and more of that. It's about all the jobs, all the young people working there every summer, then going and telling their friends and family. All of that is such a change, and it's turned Medallion into exactly the kind of community asset that Will County has always hoped it would be, always thought it might be, actually happening. And my concern, worry today is that would be seriously harmed by putting a great big fresh jolt of truck traffic and car traffic of all the people who would be working at this new development, putting all of that right on the northern edge of Medallion, right next to the National Cemetery. It would be such a tragic step back. It would be such a giant undercutting of the tremendous value that Medallion is now bringing to Will County as a community asset, as a tourist draw, more and more all the time. But that is my biggest worry today, and I just wanted to share that with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next caller.
This is Mayor Odekirk. Your name, address, and comment, please.
Good evening. My name is Stacey Myers, and I'm Senior Counsel for Open Lands, a nonprofit organization that has worked within the city of Joliet to connect people to nature where they live. Open Lands urges the City Council to vote no on the agenda item number 22220 to approve and execute the pre-annexation agreement with North Point until it cures several procedural due process issues and fatal flaws in prescribed annexation and zoning for the project. The agreement makes substantive commitments and is not just a negotiating agreement. The prescribed I-1 zoning violates the Joliet zoning ordinance. The pre-annexation agreement commits to I-1 light industrial zoning if certain conditions unrelated to zoning are met. Under section 4714.1 on classes of industrial uses within subsection E for I-1 light industrial districts, the ordinance states the district permits those industrial uses not otherwise required to have special use permits with limited objectionable external effects. The pre-annexation agreement violates the ordinance by committing to a special use permit and variance to that I-1 zoning classification. To wit, the 8th declaration of the agreement states it will grant a special use permit for the property to allow for the development of freight terminals and grant a variation of the city's zoning ordinance to allow for trailers and wheeled container parking. Not only does this violate the ordinance, but it provides residents in Joliet and the proposed annexation area with less protection, since these kinds of clean and quiet operations are only subject to regulations necessary to prohibit congestion and protect adjacent residential and business activities. The Plan Commission hearing public notice and authority to advise on zoning were in violation of the Joliet zoning ordinance. The failure to provide legislative hearings for the Zoning Board of Appeals with the proper review of an application for rezoning violates section 47-14.2A of the Joliet zoning ordinance, governing special uses in all industrial districts. This section provides a list of special uses that may be allowed by the mayor and city council with the advice of the Board of Appeals. The Zoning Board of Appeals has not provided such advice, yet the pre-annexation agreement says the zoning notice and hearing requirement was satisfied. Under section 47.52D, all applications for a special use permit shall be heard by the Board of Appeals. The board shall have jurisdiction to render a final administrative decision for any special use specified in sections 47.52A and several other sections. In all other cases, the Board of Appeals shall act in an advisory capacity. In considering an application for a special use permit, the Board of Appeals must follow the procedures under section 47 for the review of special exceptions. This process was not followed, despite the substantive decisions on zoning special uses and variances in the pre-annexation agreement. There was no joint legislative zoning hearing before the Zoning Board of Appeals, nor was there a joint hearing on zoning and annexation. This step was completely skipped. This matters because landowners will sell their land in reliance, and the reliance that will be made upon this agreement. This led to other failures that violated no residents' procedural due process rights. For instance, residents this evening could not cross-examine witnesses or before the Plan Commission
Courts have repeatedly found that denial of any cross-examination necessarily violated procedural due process and invalidated not just the special use permit, but all other approvals addressed in the joint hearing, the annexation, the agreement, the rezoning, and the subdivisions of the subject property. This is important because residents have expressed how changes in zoning would render their property useless and deprive them of access.
Next caller.
This is Mayor Odeker. Could you state your name, address, and make your comment, please?
Hi, my name is April Flaws. I wanted to state that I am opposed to the East 8 Logistics Park. I urge all city council members to listen to your residents. You work for them, and you need to stand up with the residents and vote no. The only reason North Point came to Joliet was because Elwood did the right thing and listened to their constituents. Elwood came to Joliet because they knew Joliet was broke. They're salesmen. They're going to tell you how wonderful this is because they're trying to make a deal of their career. They do not care about the residents because if they did, they would have left Elwood. They would have left when Elwood said no. Instead, they found another way to possibly get their project approved while still affecting Elwood and Manhattan. Are you going to put money before the wishes of your constituents on the south, or are you going to respect the wishes of your constituents? Lastly, I want to say that I am appalled by the behavior of some of the councilmen during the speeches. They're whispering, walking around, tallying how many people are speaking from Joliet. At least pretend to care what the citizens have to say. I would like to urge you again to vote no. If you are a yes vote, you do not deserve to represent the people of Joliet. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next caller.
This is Mayor Odeker. Can you state your name, address, and make your comment, please?
Hi, my name is Danielle Montanas. Actually, before I start, I can't see who's listening to me. Can I get a kind of a quick roll call of who's still listening?
Well, we're all here.
Hello? Who's we all? Because I can't see you. So
Well, there's 5 council people here, and there's 4 at home that are live streaming in.
Okay, can they stay here really quick so I can hear them?
Sure, this is.
Help me like visualize.
Mike Turk said here.
I'm here. Thank you, Mike.
Sherry Reardon's here.
Hi, Sherry. Thank you.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Thank you.
Okay, I guess they said there's 7.
Okay.
Councilman Hogg.
Don Dickinson's here, that's 8.
From the organization, I'm just, okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Pat Mudrin.
Terry Morris.
The mayor's here. All right, so you got 8.
Awesome. Glad to have you guys all following now. I'm not from any organization, just a resident, but you might recognize me because I have spoken publicly before in front of you guys several times on a couple of different things. I'm not going to come with a bunch of research numbers. I think you've heard a lot of that already. Just basically what doesn't take days to research or uncover is that the people that are speaking for themselves, the majority of people who are contacting you, are opposed to North Point, and that should mean something. The lack of quality jobs, the pollution and other effects on the environment, traffic, higher crime rates, previous broken promises by the developer, neglected or rather abused boundary agreements, bad deals, lack of resident support. The list can keep going for all the reasons why this should be voted against, and you've been hearing so many amazing testimonies for why this is a bad deal. The land that this would be built on is good land. It's not the same as when Center Point went in, which was a polluted land that couldn't be used for anything else. You are going to be polluting land to make something that's not worth it. Why would anyone vote to cripple an area over land that could be used for a lot of other things. Right now, Center Point isn't at full build-out. 20 years it's taken them, right, to finish this build-out, and they still can't find tenants and builders. I don't understand why anyone believes it's going to be different with North Point. It's going to be another partially finished waste of land, but this time it could be land that other things could be used on. These companies that have billions of dollars, you know, why not encourage them to buy older and neglected properties that are already all around Joliet? They have the money to be able to demolish and give new life to some of these broken down pieces of property that already exist and are already zoned and are already ready for that kind of traffic. That will improve the area. That's going to make better use of those dead zones that already exist. You know, I'm thinking of the old Caterpillar site, and there's more than just that there would be a purpose for that place again. Vote no. Your duty is to listen to the residents and the people of which you represent. The vote that they would ask you to do, it may be different than your personal opinion, but that isn't why you're elected, to give your personal opinion. Your vote should reflect our vote, and we are asking you and begging you and praying that you vote no, because this is not going to be good for us. It's not going to be good for our children in 50 years. This is not going to be a good deal. Somebody else had mentioned something about farmland. We are in a time right now where it has become very obvious that we need to be able to self-rely on the farm and the produce that we can have directly available to us. Everybody's going out and building new gardens and asking for chickens and all that kind of stuff, because we realize that at the end of the day, the most important thing is that we can eat. Farmland is not something to be taken lightly anymore, especially as land becomes harder and harder to come by.
Next caller.
Hi, it's Mayor Odekirk. You state your name, address, and comment, please.
Yeah, this is Al Gutierrez.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, Al.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Tom will turn his TV down. Yeah, this is Al Gutierrez, Sharp Road, unincorporated area, Elwood. U.S. Army veteran, 48-year union number, and 48 years at this address. Now, we're opposed to North Point. One reason being, if the bridge doesn't get built. Hello.
Go ahead, Al.
He's got his TV on, he's turned
Yes.
his TV off.
U.S. Army veteran, 48-year resident. One of the reasons that I can't see this going up to the city council right now, you people before said that you would take and not give building permits. Well, if the bridge doesn't get built, but you shouldn't even let any dirt start. I'm talking.
Al, it's Mayor Odekirk. We're all listening to you. You keep stop talking.
Yes. I'm just wondering how come the city council, if they've been considering this right now, when the bridge hasn't even been approved, and you're telling these people that you're going to let them build but not give them occupancy permits. They shouldn't even be able to move dirt. They shouldn't even be able to move dirt until that bridge is put in. Because otherwise, like they told you, you're the ones that have to find a way for the trucks to get in and out of there. That somebody said something about they bought in the trash and everything. We also got the promise that there would be hotels built, stores built, tire places built, mechanic shops. Hey, I'm still waiting for one. This is
already 2020, and the first draft came in 1999. My kids used to be able to ride their bikes. I live a half a mile west of 53. They used to be able to ride their bikes almost up to 53 by themselves. Today, my grandkids can't ride out of the driveway because we have to barricade our driveway off so we don't have people deciding, hey, I'm going the wrong way. You're the last house. Guys, turn around now. Now, a few weeks ago, they closed down Schweitzer Road for repairs. When that happened, we started getting a lot of fill mites down here, a lot of fill mites going through Millsdale Road, and at that point, we didn't see any Joliet police enforcement. Right now, you don't enforce traffic control. What makes you think that you got all this property, you got 10,000 more cars coming in there, that you're going to enforce that? Come on, give me a break. Now, we value our property just the same way as you value your property, and we consider our area no different than the Cathedral area, or no different than downtown Joliet, around the Rialto. We're proud of our area, and I'm sure you are too. So I'm hoping that you won't know on this, unless you decide, okay, those $3 million that they're going to give us up front, to me, that's a bribe. I don't know how else to put it. You know, you don't get $3 million for nothing. It's like turning your cheek the other way so you can't see what's going on. But please take all this into consideration, because remember, the city council doesn't live out this way. It's the residents of Elwood and some of the residents that are in the Joliet subdivision just to the south of it, and they're all against it too. Now, put yourself in our place.
Next caller.
Mayor Odeker, can you give your name, address, and make your comment, please?
I think I'm next. Am I next up? It's very
Yes,
hard.
this is Mayor Odeker. Can you give your name, address, and comment, please?
Hi, Mayor. I just want to say it was very difficult to hear. There's a lot of reverb coming back, and also a lot of echoing and ringing. So the last caller, I could understand why he had to stop and start so often.
Well, I think
It's very difficult.
I think he had his TV on, and there's a delay, so it was throwing him off, because we heard the same thing here.
Yeah, this is Erin Gallagher, and I'm from Joliet, born and raised in Joliet, and I have a lot of questions to ask. So before we begin, I want to make sure I had emailed more than 50 letters, signed letters from Joliet residents with Joliet addresses. I want to make sure that you all received those, and they were received by the council.
Yeah, I know I received it.
Okay.
I did all. I received them.
Okay, great. Those were all people who spoke, obviously spoke their voice through signing letters at the town hall. So thank you, Mr. Mayor. In some of the letters that you have responded to people, you've said that what was happening in Edgerton was reported falsely. And since I was the only one prior to the media flying down in the private jet who actually went and saw and reported, I wanted to ask you specifically, what was it about the things that I said and came back and reported on that were inaccurate?
Maybe it's public comment. Can you make your comment, please?
Hello? Yeah, I'm asking questions. I wanted to know, was it concerning specifically some of the development or some of the land residences? I mean, I know that you had said that there were a lot of houses being built, and I have all the documents that show that that's not true. I have a letter from Johnson County Building Department that shows that there have been only 3 new residences built since 2015. I'd like to be able to provide that. Can I provide that as evidence? How do I do that in this format?
Email.
Okay, what is the email address?
Public comment at joliet.gov.
comment@joliet.gov. And so I'd like to be able to provide just evidence that shows, Mayor, the things that I was reporting on that contradict a lot of your statements. What about the development? You were saying that there was a lot of new development that was happening in Edgerton. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Which ones you were talking about specifically?
Ma'am, it's public comment. Make your comment, please. We're not going to argue or debate, especially with the delay over the phone, it being possible.
Yeah.
So please make your comment.
So the delay over the phone is the reason why you're not taking questions?
No, we never take questions during public comments. It's a public hearing. You're supposed to comment on the issue that's up for the hearing.
Well, I'd like to contradict some of the statements that you've been making because I have all of the documents. I have all the evidence.
Okay, go ahead, ma'am. Go ahead and make your comment.
That's been citing Johnny Brown. Johnny Brown from D&J Land, developer, the one that you said was putting in all of these new houses, new hotels and new restaurants. He's actually pulled out of Edgerton. He sold 18 or 17 of the acres of land. He's moved the whole thing to Gardner, Kansas, and he's now in the process of suing the city of Edgerton. So the whole development that you base the premise on, that they've got all of this stuff.
Next caller.
This is Mayor Oderkirk. Can you give your name, address, and make your comment, please?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Dennis O'Connor from Elwood, Illinois. I have a few comments I'd like to make tonight about the proposed bridge that they want to build over Route 53 over to Waterstrawn. I own two 10-acre parcels adjacent to Ira Morgan Road. One to the north, 10 acres. One to the south, 10 acres. On the south one, I live there with my brother Terry. Back in February of 2017, my brother and I decided to annex that 20 acres into the village of Elwood. In approximately April of 2017, the next mayor of Elwood was Matejcek after Bill Ackerman, and he invited me to a meeting in his office to meet with Patrick Robinson and a guy named Ian McDonald. As it turns out, Patrick Robinson's a vice president of North Point. McDonald is one of their attorneys. Not much was said, and Patrick Robinson slides a sheet of paper over, and obviously I knew where it was just because it's our property, and he says, I would like you gentlemen to move your boundary line. And I said, what for? He says, well, what's the difference whether you own property here or property there? It's just farmland. I said, no, it's not. It's C2 commercial zoning, and we're annexed into the village of Elwood. I said, by the way, did you bring your checkbook with you? And he says, what for? I said, do I look like Santa Claus? If you want me to give you something, you have to give me something. And so his face dropped, almost hit the table. And that was about the end of the meeting. They got up and left. Never spoke to him again in the last 3 years. They ignore me. I'm invisible. They act like that land already belongs to them, and it does not, never will. And I'm just going to make this real short and sweet. If anybody is going to stand in the way of this bridge ever being built over Ira Morgan Road, that was named after my grandfather, by the way, across Route 53, across the Union Pacific Railroad tracks, over to Old Waterstrawn Drive, if any two people are going to oppose that, it's going to be me and my brother Terry O'Connor. It will never be built. And, you know, you may have seen me in the newspaper. Back when I listed this property with David Roth and Coldwell Banker, we put it on the market for $2.4 million on the North End. We were going to build a commercial development strip mall. after our meeting with Patrick Robinson, I called up Dave and I said, their price is 4.8. The next morning, he got a call from an attorney. How can your client double the price? Dave said, real simple. He owns the property. About a month went by, and I said, you know what, Dave? For North Point, price is $10 million. That's where it is now. Never got an offer, nothing on paper. Now, I'm gonna leave this because I'm just kind of getting a dry throat here. I got papers all over the table. I'm not going to be addressing all of that, but do you people have a copy of the Joliet annexation agreement ahead of you? Can you hold it up in the air? I can see you. You don't. Okay, then I'll read it for you. On the closed loop truck network.
Next caller.
This is Mayor Odeker. Can you give your name, your address, and make your comment, please?
Yes, sir. Mayor, council members, and fellow Americans, my name is Skip Huckbauer. I'm chaplain of VFW Post 2199, Stone City, Joliet. Before I make a comment on North Point annexation, I want to thank the first responders and the caregivers, especially to my veterans group in Willow Falls Extended Care in Crest Hill, and to the VA home in LaSalle. My thoughts and prayers are with you. North Point annexation. I originally planned to talk about my personal understanding of the problems confronting the bridge location relative to Abraham Lincoln Cemetery. Truck destruction to veterans' graves continue and must be stopped. Noise problem also must be addressed regarding the cemetery's operation. According to federal highway regulations, it's considered as active category zone A, which is 57 decibels per hour. It reads that lands in which serenity and quiet are extraordinarily significant and serve an important public need, where the preservation of these qualities is essential if the areas continue to serve as its intended purpose. The issue is that a private funded bridge does not have to meet any federal highway standards nor any type of inspections. It will eventually become a problem when it's no longer funded and abandoned. What I find troubling tonight is that the issuer of the excuse me, the guy that was in charge of this thing said, deal with truck traffic. This is sort of insight to what his thinking really is that to deal with the truck traffic means deal with everything else. One of the things that I'm dealing with right now is the 60 tires that are dumped along Spencer Road between Briggs and Route 52, which is roughly around 2 blocks. That's what I'm dealing with right now. There is a larger issue that I came to think about, though. The decision apparently that has already been made will affect future generations. To me, this is a teaching moment for our youth. I therefore challenge grades 5 through 12 on the topic of North Point. The rules are the same if you were taking this at this meeting, and the same limits included the 4-minute time frame. Include the subject line on the outline of your written envelope, North Point entry. The theme is, tonight's vote on my future. The winning entry will receive $50 in grades 5 through 8, and grades another $50 for grades 9 through 12. Each winner will be awarded a VFW certificate and printed in the Herald News. Mail your entry to VFW Post 2199, 124 Stone City, Joliet, Illinois, 60436. Entries can also be emailed to post.programs2199@gmail.com. One judge representing each school can meet at the VFW post after the stay order is lifted. A veterans group from World War II, Korea, and Vietnam can be judges if no other judges are available. Be safe, stay home, God bless America.
Thank you.
Next caller.
This is Mayor Odeker. Can you give your name, address, and make your comment, please?
You gotta stay there. Hold on 1 second. I'm putting my toddlers to bed. My name is Kelly. In the last handful of years, the city of Joliet has spent time and money to begin revitalizing and transforming downtown Joliet into an urban center that will attract visitors from all around the Southwest area. The city needs to continue seeking diverse economic development to continue moving the city in the right direction. And I am sorry, but adding thousands of acres of warehouses near the already 3,600 acres zoned for warehouses at Centerpoint Joliet would be counterproductive to the downtown plan and negatively affect the city for decades to come. Northport's 1,200 acres, and let's be honest, this is only the first portion of the overall plan. We all know the final footprint will be a whole hell of a lot bigger of warehouse development. Will bring air pollution, noise pollution, and light pollution. It will bring increased truck traffic to our local roads and to the already overcrowded and crumbling interstates. It is going to bring out-of-town, low-paid temp workers who do not care about our town. This is not what will continue to attract people to travel to Joliet for dinner, shopping, or for entertainment. In fact, many people from the South think Wilmington, Manhattan, Elwood, Peatone are not even going to bother to travel roads bogged down with truck traffic from warehouses to reach Joliet. Others who would be taking I-55 or I-80 to visit Joliet may choose to go elsewhere, with the increased frequency at these highways becoming congested with even longer backups. People will spend their money elsewhere, in other towns that don't have over 6,000 acres of warehouse development. If you choose to sign off on the downhill, Joliet, and the surrounding communities, at least you could be doing it for a better deal. The $2 million up front won't even begin to cover Joliet's pay period. I think your guys' biweekly pay period is something like $3.5 million. I also heard Patrick Robertson at a previous meeting pledging to donate a portion of the land for future fire or police stations, which sounds really awesome. But who's going to pay for the station that would be needed to service the warehouse park? A station that's going to cost millions of dollars to build. The taxpayers? Who's going to pay to staff that fire or police department? The taxpayers? I also heard a lot of talk about how North Point is going to maintain the roads within the warehouse facility. That's also super, except the taxpayers aren't going to be using any of those roads. Who's going to pay to maintain and improve Route 53, I-80, and I-55? Or any of the other local roads trucks will drive down when they either get lost or don't want to take Arsenal to I-55 when they're actually trying to head east to I-57, or who don't want to pay the toll at Humboldt Bridge when it's just as easy and cheaper for them to take the other truck options available that exist. Not North Point. Joliet taxpayers will be paying for that, because while all these roads might not belong to the city of Joliet, the taxpayers of Joliet still pay taxes to the county and to the state, which are supposed to maintain and improve many of these roads. As far as the closed loop, once these trucks enter the BNSF rail yard or Centerpoint, there's nothing stopping them from entering the local road. And this closed loop only applies to semi-truck traffic. It does nothing to stop the thousands of shift workers from driving down and increasing traffic on all of our local roads. North Point also likes to tell us that they're going to perform a traffic study every 3 million square feet of building. But again, if this study shows that an intersection or multiple intersections need to be improved due to the traffic generated by their warehouse park, who's going to pay for this improvement? The taxpayers? Because while paying for a traffic study sounds super, the city is the cost is pretty inexpensive in comparison to the cost the taxpayers will pay to improve an intersection. Steve Jones, in particular, loves to talk about the park-like atmosphere of the North Point project and how they have pledged to provide trees, bushes, native grasses, and all these beautiful walking trails. First and foremost, trees, ferns, and shrubs are not going to hide the fact that this quote-unquote park is full of concrete buildings, semi-trucks, and stacked containers. Then we have the native grass. Native grass takes an enormous amount, I'm talking years, of upfront work and maintenance to properly grow. So I anticipate these native grasses to really be giant areas of weeds. And I can tell you that the mass majority of Joliet residents are never going to drive to a warehouse facility to walk a freaking trail. Who in their right mind wants to take a walk surrounded by semi-trucks and warehouses to breathe in diesel fumes and listen to trucks drive past them? Especially when the area has a plethora of great walking trails, like the Daywind, the Levante Glacier, Old Plank Trail. Seriously, some of Mr. Jones' comments these last few meetings have been laughable.
Okay, there's two more in the queue, and then we're gonna break for tonight. It should be right around 9 o'clock. So if the city has not called you yet, we're not gonna call tonight. We will start it up again tomorrow. Let's do the last two, and then we'll talk about the procedure.
You have the next caller.
All right, this is Mayor Odeker. Can you give your name, address, and your comment, please?
Hi, my name is Jeff Pence, and I live in Manhattan, Illinois. I just have a couple of concerns that I want to let you guys know about with the North Point pre-annexation agreement. One, it's the public safety issue. I pulled the Freedom of Information Act, the subpoenas, the records for the I-80 bridges, the two there at Des Plaines, and I also pulled the ones for over the Des Plaines on the I-55. And I mean, a lot of the bridges in this area are what they would call deficient. And what that means is, well, I don't need to really tell you, but it means when they're deficient, that means they can't handle the traffic that's already there. Now, North Point with their project that they have, I mean, if they're going to really add another 80,000, trucks to this area, or another 30,000 just local traffic, I mean, this is going to overwhelm these things. And I also tried to subpoena the records for just kind of see, like, hey, what's going on with these bridges? When are these things going to be fixed? When are they going to be widened? And according to the state, they have no records. There's no blueprints. There's no nothing in the works. So that tells me that these bridges are at least minimum 10 to 15 years before we even start looking at it, because I believe there's no property even been bought to widen this yet. And now that we're going to turn around and add all this, it's just going to create a problem. And that's what I have to say about that. Now, this pre-annexation agreement that you guys are working on today, or that you're talking about here today, I had a chance to read it finally, and this thing is not in Joliet's best interest by any means. I think it's going to give you guys more liability than it is money. I don't know who wrote it, but there's a lot of things in here. One, the I-zoning on page 3, the type of stuff for the roads, that is not going to be sufficient for this truck traffic. Typically, I-1 zoning is, it's used for industrial buildings, but typically it's like trucks that are 16,000 pounds, 26,000 pounds, not trucks that are 80,000 pounds. And by the way it's written, it's not going to allow you to tell North Point to increase that road. So you guys are going to, increase the thickness or the capabilities of that road, I guess you could say. Now, also, let me switch the page here. On page 6, we talk about the, again, the truck traffic. We can skip that. And again, that's about the roads. It's not made to handle semi-traffic. Now, the other thing that I was looking at is the closed loop. And I was reading this, and guys, there is no way you can enforce those trucks from this agreement to stay on that closed loop. You have no administrative remedies to solve that problem. You can scream and holler and say, stay on it, but they're going to say, there's no contract. It's a good idea. I think before if I was in your place and looking at this, I would want to add more stuff into it, like for the enforcement of it. I think that would be a wiser idea than just letting it go as is. Now, also, I was looking at, how you're supposed to get the...
Okay, last call of the night. You ready? Yes. Mr. Mayor Oderkirk, can you give your name, address, and make your comment, please? Hello?
Yes.
Go ahead, sir.
My name is Willis Sellers, and I live at
Go ahead, sir.
7th Avenue, Joliet. And I'm the owner of Sellers Enterprise Inc., a small trucking firm. And I have spoke with various members of the city council, the unions, and people from North Point. And I have also spoken with some of my friends that have visited at North Point in Kansas City, and I think that this is a very good economic project that's about to happen, and I don't see how we can say no. So, I think that the city can not afford not to support this project. So I'm looking forward to the city to doing what's right for the city and also for the people. So I think that Mayor, you and the council should vote yes on this project.
Okay, thank you. They cut you off? Good, okay. All right, so, I don't know how many we got through tonight. I think the plan would be to start at 9 tomorrow morning. Is that correct? Marty? It's up to you. Is that, I guess I'll just, before I go to the council at home, you guys are ready for 9 o'clock tomorrow?
Is there another choice or?
What about the others?
Fine with me.
Yeah. Sherry's fine. Betty?
9 o'clock is fine with me. Yes, 9 is fine.
Don Dickinson?
That's fine.
Fine with me, it's Sherry.
Okay, so everyone's good.
The only time I
Try to get off work.
That was Turk, said fine.
Oh, Don, you're trying to
This
get
is
off
Mike.
of work?
The only time I'm not available between 1 and 3 tomorrow because of a work commitment. But
Oh.
9 o'clock is okay, but I have a question on how you would work the call-ins.
On how we can do what?
Well, is there gonna be some accommodation if, our staff calls an individual and say they're not available, that they would put them at the bottom and try to call again if they're at work or something?
Mayor, I am going to send an email to the remaining people on the list to advise them when the meeting is continued to.
Okay.
9 o'clock's fine by me.
All right, we'll do it at 9. I think we're gonna break at 11 tomorrow. Is that correct?
There's a joint review board meeting at noon tomorrow, so I would recommend we break at 11 or 11:30.
Well, we go to 11:30 and then we'll see. Mike, you're available after 3?
Yes.
All right, we're gonna, because we have a finance meeting tomorrow too, so we'll see what we can get done in the afternoon then.
We would need a motion for tonight to suspend the meeting and reconvene tomorrow at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Before we motion for a recess, I think we need to establish, while everybody's still watching, what time we're gonna do it tomorrow afternoon. We can't start the day and they don't know. I think we need to establish that.
Fair enough, so 3 to 5 tomorrow afternoon?
Not 9 o'clock?
No,
Oh, 9 to 11:30.
11:30 and then 3 to 5.
That breaks,
Oh, and then 5:30 for the meeting.
Yes.
9 to 11:30 then, well, yeah.
Mayor?
Yeah, Mike?
Yeah, I missed Marty's explanation of somebody, we call them and they're not available during the day if we put them off till later.
I think we're going to play that by ear when I send out an email comment to them.
All right.
Okay, so that, I guess that's the motion then, to suspend the meeting tonight, to reconvene tomorrow at 9, to go through 11:30 and then 3 to 5.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
The motion seconded to suspend the meeting and public hearing to reconvene tomorrow at 9 a.m. Through 11:30 and then reconvening again from 3 to 5 tomorrow. Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
aye?
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.